the 4 defenses so far we've seen. Maybe I missed one, but he's done that every single time, and it's the most efficient way to defend. And a lot of times, if you're efficient in this game, that's how you're going to win.
We were talking with Hazard about that idea of efficiency, and he harkened back to an interview with Surgical Goblin when he was at his height, and Surgical Goblin being asked why he's performing so much better than everyone else, and his answer was that everyone else spends too much on defense. And look about the overspend here. Look at that on the right-hand side. Looked like Moogie had this thing all sewn up, and just
the
like
cannon
that.
cart. The cannon cart, absolute MVP of the Bren Chong Cup, and I love to see that it's still putting in work. Fireball comes in, wow.
Unbelievable. Just as I'm talking about that interview with Surgical Goblin where he said people spend too much on defense, right? That was his answer, why he's better. Everyone else overspends on defense, and Hazard saying that he was at first kind of like, insulted, and then he looked at it and realized, oh yeah, that's actually what's happening. You see there, just got caught flat-footed, and Samuel Basoto takes a huge, steals a Game 1 win here.
Wow. Just 1 second late with that miner, tries to get it down by that cannon card. If the cannon card gets a lock, we've seen so many games. I would love to see a compilation with, I don't know, maybe maybe that chicken dance music in the background of just all the cannon cards and all the towers they've taken. It's baffling that a card that we saw barely ever in CRL last season is one of the most dominant cards in Clash Royale this season, and there's no changes, no buffs, no nerf, no nothing.
Yeah, thoughts on that one there, AC?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty incredible. People recognize that maybe the card itself isn't like busted or anything, but possibly like the synergy that it can provide is. And, you know, we see it with so many decks, the offensive pressure that you can get, especially when you're going against so many cycle decks. If you have Snowball, we saw what it was able to do with a Cannon Cart Mega Minion at the bridge. That Snowball, pushing the Knight off of it, killing the Spear Goblins at the same time, you can make so many different plays with it. And, you know, when you have a great card and a great deck that can also double as a win condition if everything else is failing, it's going to be a phenomenal card that, of course, is going to be used all the time.
Let's go ahead and jump into game number 2 here. Samuel with the advantage defends that one well, and looks like he's doing the same thing. We might be having a very similar look here, and Samuel has been running it back. No, going hog instead for a guy who certainly is one of the top cycle players in the world.
Okay, this might be a little bit of a problem for Samuel Basoto because, ooh, hog does not get a hit. But this is a situation where if you break it down, it looks pretty simple that Moogie's going to maybe be able to just out-damage. Unless a Hog gets on tower, Earthquake for Earthquake, similar cycle, Miner gets on tower, gets a couple of chip shots, but that's going to be the difference at the end of this game. I don't think this game's going to be more than 200 HP apart by the end.
Yeah, it's going to be super dependent on whether he has log or royal delivery. If he has log, it's definitely going to be kind of like a 50-50 situation, you know, within 200 HP at the end. If he has royal delivery, we should see probably a pretty strong win coming out of Moogie. You just can't do enough damage on the hog side because royal delivery is never something that you can use offensively. So I'm hoping, you know, when we're looking at, you know, we want to see like some great games played, that he's running log, and that's what we're gonna get.
That's awesome.
Classic triple spell here from Samuel.
Yeah, it's awkward too because we saw that interaction just now where we saw Hog Rider and an Earthquake come in, and the Bomb Tower, a 4 elixir card, is able to deal with all of that, which is, in my opinion, maybe making a little bit of a statement for Bomb Tower being a little bit too good. A spell that's supposed to be able to deal with towers and a win condition getting totally stopped for 4 elixir. It's going to be hard to get these hogs on tower, but if Samuel Basoto can figure out a way, that's all he needs is one hog hit to maybe take this game in his favor.
Bats to the left-hand lane. Snowball will clear those out in anticipation of the miner. Knight goes high, and Log in tandem will stop the wall breakers. Not enough to stop the lead from going towards Moogie, though. 2078 to currently, and now even further down. Going to be under 1,500 HP on that right-hand side. Lead right now for the Japanese player. 7 times top 6 ladder for Moogie. And add into that a CRL Eastern 2020 MVP and Best Solo Player Award. And we're seeing that gameplay right here.
Yeah, I really like this adjust from Samuel because he recognizes that if he's going to win, he he has to be going same lane. Goal for him to be able to come back and not get fully spell cycled.
Samuel Basoto is doing a great job on. Does he get another hog hit? Wow, this is getting really close. Samuel Basoto on defense is doing a great job picking up these miners every single time. Wall breakers aren't getting close, and he has the lead. So if this is just Earthquake versus Earthquake, Samuel Basoto should win this.
It's triple spell versus double spell, and now EQ in. Samuel needs to defend against this Knight wall breakers. Miner comes in. Does a wall breaker connect? No. Log does hold on. EQ in from Mugi. Now cycling logs does Mugi, 79 HP down to 11. Snowball would be enough to finish it. Samuel does not want to make a big mistake here, though. Snowball comes in and just beats out. Look at all that on tower. Miner, EQ, and Bats. That is a split-second difference. And now Samuel Basoto is one game away from the grand prize, the championship, and $18,000. This is absolutely wild. Samuel Basoto, a guy who people talked about as one of the best in the world for so long, came into CRL and never really had the CRL season to back it up. He had moments, had that big help with the reverse sweep for Space Station Gaming against Tribe in the spring Western Finals. Had some really good moments, of course, in the fall season. But this is one of those moments where people who've always gone, well, is Samuel that good or just a ladder guy? This is what we're seeing right now. Currently up 2 against Mugi and a chance to put a huge stamp on the beginning of this 2021 competitive season.
Yeah, I love to see what Samuel Basoto has been doing this since the group stage, the regional finals, and now in the world finals. He figures out a way to win, no matter what the matchup. It's very reminiscent to what Ruben was doing in the world finals of CRL last season, where it didn't matter what the matchup is. He has this clutchness to him, where he just figures out, okay, I can win if I do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna figure out a way to win. I'm gonna win, and a lot of times he wins. We see him win by 100, 150, even less HP, but he always figures out that way to win, and right now is looking really, really good.
And guys, we are now potentially, unless Mugi wins here, this could be our last game, and we are 142 subscribers away from hitting 18,000. So I see that there's about 4,000 of you watching right now. If you're in the YouTube chat and you haven't yet, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. It's there in the chat. It's there in your YouTube app. Hit that subscribe button. Ring the bell for notifications if you like. This is a great place for competitive Clash Royale. If you're into competitive Clash Royale, whether it's live events like this is commonly the English streaming home for those ones. Of course, pre-recorded content like best of fives with cool different formats. Some inside the play videos diving deep into the mechanics that make certain major moments from Clash Royale history play out the way that they do. And of course, some other technical videos to help you out with mastering certain small skills and short videos as well. So hitting 18,000 here on stream would be super, super cool. We're just a little over 100 subs away from it, so go ahead if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. This might be the very last match, the very last game of this one, and we'll find out in a moment. Cash, you mentioned that Mugi has been running a ton of minor wall breakers. Has been leaning on minor wall breakers like crazy. In a moment, do you think he needs to go away from it here with everything on the line? Has been running a ton of minor
if I'm
wall
Mugi right now, I don't know what he will do.
Like
We've seen him do a lot of in situations where we haven't seen him back against the wall a lot, but in these big games, we've seen him come up with Royal Giant a lot, and I don't think that's the play in this situation. Maybe he goes with Graveyard. We've seen that as well. I really don't know. I don't think Samuel Basoto can lose right now, and it looks like we're going to see minor in this situation. Maybe goes with possibly minor balloon, minor balloon cycle. Okay. We haven't seen Mugi play this deck a lot, but it's still a really solid deck. A lot of outplayability, and this might be the matchup he's looking for. But Samuel Basoto changes to Royal Giant cycle, and we know that the Hunter does Hunter things against these balloons. So this is not looking like a great matchup for Mugi, but there's always a chance.
So two interesting things here, Nace. You want to take this your direction. First one is Mugi actually using his ban, which he's been doing a lot of not using it so far in this tournament, but banning Earthquake and then going Balloon Cycle. Talk me through that thought process.
Yeah, I think this might be like when Ruben banned Earthquake and then lost to Expo. I mean, he might be outplaying himself with that kind of ban. If he's going to be running Loon and forcing out. I mean, really, it's either Earthquake or Fireball. You don't see Rocket in comp. You don't really see Poison in competitions anymore. So I'm not exactly sure why he chose to do it that way. I would have loved to see Loon come out game 2. But, you know, it's interesting to see his thought process on that. But I'm also not a huge, like, I don't dislike the play. He's always been known as a phenomenal Loon player. And, you know, maybe he just feels confident with Earthquake being out of cycle or not being allowed to be played, where he thinks he can just outplay whatever deck he goes against.
Yeah, this is an interesting choice here because you make the great point that you ban Earthquake and you put Fireball almost assuredly into Samuel's deck, and now you have to deal with Hunter, E-Wiz, and Fireball in this matchup rather than potentially an Earthquake, which would create more openings on the ground for you.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see one single balloon get on tower, but Mugi can still win with just death damage, death damage, death damage, minor chip, a little bit of maybe snowball damage here and there, but this is looking very difficult. Samuel Basoto is so confident right now. He knows what he's doing. He has a game plan going into every single match, and he just looks unstoppable.
And shout out to CWA joining into the chat, one of your favorite YouTubers in all of Clash Royale. And a big supporter, of course, of the CR scene overall. Glad to see you here for this grand final.
Shout out to Ash. Notice me, Ash. I assume there's a lot of people in the chat yelling that right now.
Fireball in on the Archers. Royal Giant going to go to that bomb tower. Not going to have any issues with defending the Royal Giant on this exchange. But now with a minute 40 left in sudden death overtime, the lead continues to trickle more and more towards Samuel. Time ticking away for Mugi, and needs to find some way past this. What's the game plan at this point? I mean, you know, you're not going to get a win at this point, AC, from stacking up death damage and defending. What's the methodology that Mugi goes for right now?
I mean, Samuel's doing a phenomenal job of doing the RGs in the back. Usually when, you know, you spend 6 elixir in the back, you can go pretty aggressive. But you can't do that against Hunter that often. In triple elixir, if we do see an RG in the back, I mean, really, he probably has one shot at this point in order to come back and win this game. And that's going to be if he sees something like that be played. If he sees, like, even just an E-Wiz out of cycle could be enough for him to think he can go in. Minor on top of the Hunter and then possibly a Snowball as well could give him a chance to be able to win this.
Balloon trying to work its way through, but back to another E-Wiz. The cycle's so nasty here in triple elixir, and that should end the dreams of Mugi being the champion here. 30 seconds remaining. Minor goes not to the Hunter this time, all the way to the back. E-Wiz and Hunter both on that balloon, and that's going to be more than enough to stop it. Cycle can get quick, and Mugi might going to try to go Minor to the inside here and get a sneaky Minor on tower. So we might see Minor Snowball directly to tower here. Let's see what happens. Minor goes to the front, Snowball in, doesn't get the E-Spirit though, and unless this balloon can sneak in and connect, it will not. We have our champion 3-0 undefeated in this bracket. Samuel Basoto takes home $18,000 and your Bren Chong Cup 2 trophy.
What an incredible performance by Samuel Basoto. Not even today. This has been, what, a month in the making? He has been dominating since the first game, and he just continued that domination even to that final game. That was pixel perfect, and I can't think of a better winner.
And there you go. Let's take a look at the hardware that will be getting sent all the way to Brazil for Samuel to throw on his wall. And that's the Bren Chong Cup 2 championship. And alongside that, a very hefty prize pool for the Brazilian. What a tournament this has been. Unbelievable gameplay from open qualifiers that started at the end of December through our very, very competitive group stage on into the regional championships. And now here with our world championship, it is Samuel Basoto taking it down against Mugi. Absolutely insane. AC, some words on your teammate now, taking home that big prize pool and hoisting that trophy.
Look, before I say anything about Samuel, I want to say, you know, props to Mugi. I saw someone talk about it a little bit. I think it's 4:03 a.m. for him right now.
Yeah.
He competed. He did everything that he could in order to win that. It just wasn't enough. And, you know, you could argue that like maybe you saw some of those mistakes because of it. I'm excited to see what he can do this year. And so he has to feel great about his performance and, you know, just about the year in general. But now that I'm talking about Samuel, I'm so happy for him. I'm so proud of him. He was able to just put everything together. And, you know, if there's going to be a year where you want to put everything together, it's going to be this one. There's so much on the line. It is a year where
Коллапса надо убивать, за ним Станейка идет. И сюда перетяжка также, смотрю, еще от Имершина. Телепорт кастуется, не хватает урона, одного удара не хватило. И что-то Никс Ассасин слишком долго заплутал, слишком долго завтыкал. Первый фраг для команды Live to Win. Угу. Нормально. Нормально. 8-я минута игры, и мы видим то, что Торонто Токио свой экзорцизм реализовал очень здорово. Пока топ-2 фарма, Урса топ-1 и Деспрофи топ-2 за командой Team Spirit. Никс Ассасин, фейтбол по себе, телекинеза не вижу, Карапас нажимает сифоны. Ну, по итогу эти сифоны сработали против Торонто Токио. Тут за Имершином. Опять Карапасов у него нет, его убивает. 6-й фраг, пока мы видим то, что что-то вот команда Live to Win допускает много ошибок. Что касаемо Манки Кинга, у Манки Кинга 5-й левел, все еще нету 6-го, собирает себе Ганим Скипетр. Я могу предположить, то, что это у него там собирается что? Нет, это все-таки ПТ, это не Мидас. До Мидаса, я думаю, это было бы слишком жадно, слишком рано. Раптура, коллапс пока не дается, подходит Рубик, фейтбол, бладрай, телекинез, отлично. Раптура накидывается, Дрим тут же кастует телепорт, он уйдет оттуда. Он уйдет оттуда, одного удара по нему не хватает. Молодцы. Если бы я что-то подумал, я бы обязательно об этом сказал, Василий. Я говорю так, как есть, прямым текстом. Если я что-то думаю, я об этом говорю обязательно. Так, ну что, мы видим 10-я минута игры. И по экспириенсу 13-11 впереди пока команда Team Spirit. По промежуточным артефактам также все указано на экране. Некрономикон есть у ФНА. Урса собирает себе Battle Fury. Есть у него уже, смотрю, там, ух ты. Ему еще не хватает 1500 на покупку БФа. Нормально пока. 10-я минута. У Никс Ассасина Вендеттой пока не пахнет. У него только 3-й левел, на 10-м левеле Иммершн. Ой, на 10-й минуте как же все плохо. О, 3000 перефарма. Никс Ассасин 3-й левел. Это вообще провальчик пока. Пытается себе получить немного экспириенс в миду. У него Станейка на подстраховке стоит. Всем привет. Дархан, привет. Доброй ночи, ребят, всем. Оп, ребят, лаг. Лаг. Оп, ребят, лаг. Лаг, извиняюсь. Зато у меня немножечко дропнулся... Дропнулись кадры. Так, где сейчас играет Лил? Лил играет сейчас в команде Hellraisers. Подцепили Ятора. Нажимает Enrage. Но Afterlife пока лосо даже не кастует. Будут его убивать. Будут его убивать, хотя лосо можно было бы не кастовать. В пятером его просто закусали. Бедного медведя. Обезьяна. Обезьяна с волком и с летучей мышью убивает медведя. Это жестко, рофильно. Да, второй фраг для команды Team Live to Win. Нажимается экзорцизм от Торонто Токио, пытается подпушить немного мид, у него руны хосты в ботле. За счет этого экзорцизма он может сломать строение, но все-таки команда Live to Win готова спасать, готова сейвить его. Нужны карапасы, Рубик. У Гримстрока сворвал черты. Рубик. У Гримстрока своровал чернила. Это очень-таки здорово. Под телекинез, под фейтбол. Давай чернила. Очень много урона. И при этом при всем еще и контроль и замедление. И контроль и замедление. Ну что, Т1 Тавр продолжает ломать. ФН, телекинез, Раптуру. Что это было? Сейчас от ФН он просто в наглую подошел в таверну, отправился. Я не знаю, что сейчас сделал ФН. Он в наглую шел под Бладрайт, подставился под Раптуру и развалился. За считанные секунды у него собирается Некрономикон на 3-го левела. Да, вот чем отличается уровень игры. Вот смотрите, Нави ВП, и потом резкая пропасть, и только потом идут Team Spirit Live to Win. Резкая пропасть. Прям вот такие ошибки, прям вот жесткие, жесткие. Я пойду покушать приготовлю для 3-й карты. Удачи, удачи. Ну, 3000 перефарма, плюс-минус, все нормально. Тут коллапс заходит на вражескую половину карты, начинает фармить активно вражеский лес. У него есть урна, у него собирается худ в Defiance, на худ ему не хватает 200 золота нафармить. Нормально. Не хватает ему буквально пару соточек. Травала есть у Afterlife на Бэтрайдере. Ну, Бэтрайдеру дальше после блинка точно надо будет собирать себе, скорее всего, БКБ какой-то. Сегодня Нави против ВП играли? Нет, Нави против ВП в групповом этапе играть не будут, ребятки. Сегодня играли Нави против... кого? Против Империи. Победили 2-0. Но первая карта была жесткая. Вторая карта была прям очень быстрая за 18 минут. Прям в одну калитку. Заходит на Рошана. Команда Team Spirit начинает его по-быстренькому забирать. Начинает его по-быстренькому забирать. Ну и я думаю, то, что заберут. Кримсон Гвард собирает Бладсикер. Ой, он собирает против Ликана Кримса. У него есть уже худ. Ну, Рошан по итогу достанется для Этора. Достанется Аегис на Урсе. Да, нормально. А нет, Тарантотокио забирает себе Аегис на Дест Профит. У Дест Профит уже почти готовы... Дест Профит собирает Вичблейд. Ух ты, интересно. 3-й Некрономикон есть у ФН на Ликане. Раптура. Подцепили Бэтрайдера. За считанные секунды отправляют в таверну. Отправляют в таверну жестко. Да. Прям вот пока смотрю команда Live to Win. Это вот слабовастенько, слабовастенько. (8-2). 15 минута. 3000 перефарма за командой Team Spirit. Руна дабл дэмэджа снизу появляется. Забирает ее себе Dream от команды Live to Win. У него 10 левел. Разбивается смог. Есть... что? Чуть было курьера не забрали. У него есть руна дабл дэмэджа. Активно руна ДД. Собирать себе Аганим Скипетр. Тут на Оракла выход, на Коллапса выход. Надо забирать. Бэтрайдер. Фаерфлай пошел. Манки Кинг прыгает дальше. Подцепили мипошку. Хорошо. Фейтбол туда. Карапас нажимается. Шепшифт от ФНа. Солбинт от Гримстроука потрачен. Коллапса надо добрать с Урсой. Ой-ой-ой, большие проблемы. Фолспремис на себя. Мипошка потратила сос. Слышу, там также полетел. Вукон команд от Манки Кинга. Убивает Коллапса, убивает Рубика. Это минус 2. ФН выживает на один удар. Буквально ему надо отступать оттуда. Он уходит. ФН красавчик. Он съел просто Рубика. Он чуть было не съел Мипошку. Но Мипошка Фолспремис на себя потратил. И Тарантотокио тоже на лоу хп выжил. Как же тут сейчас Ликантроп надамажил. Как же тут сейчас этот Ликан? Почти 3000 урона. Ё-моё, как же он хавает. Как же он хавает. А вы прикиньте, если бы это все было еще ночью. Думаю, кто-то заберет себе Сумаила до инта. А в команду, возможно, Сумаил, ну, Ван Рамзес, я думаю, все-таки в каких-то командах играть-то и будут. Это прикольно, прикольно. 3000 перефармас для команды Team Spirit. И что мы видим? Некрономиконы есть у Ликана. Собирать себе Блейдмейл. На Блейдмейл ему не хватает нафармить еще буквально на рецепт. Вы прикиньте, он Некрачи себе... Ой, Некрачи. Блейдмейл собирает. Ё-моё. А это, знаете, как раз-таки против кого? Против Death Profit. Очень-таки неплохо будет смотреться. Да. Ну что, Т2 Тавр сверху все-таки команда Лифтовин потеряют. Пока команда Лифтовин не готова это строение дефать. А в миду, ой-ой-ой, подкопали, Деспрофит будут убивать или нет? Да, ее будут убивать, но это только Аегис, тут неподалеку Ликан. Ликан, шип-шифт у него в кулдауне 15 секунд, Профетку убили, а Аегис выбили. Счет 8-4, 17-я минута. Урса посильнее будет? Пока сильнее. Это все-таки сейчас время Урсы, но потом Манки Кинг сможет с ним бороться достойно. Классный сет у Ликана, да, неплохой. Неплохой, но мне не очень нравится. Мне нравятся его имморталки, его вот этот Некрономикон, его вот эти вот копки. Но мне нравится Ликан немного другой. Есть покруче, есть поинтереснее, на мой взгляд, по крайней мере. А Блейдмейл не против Деспрофит, а против Сикера. Ну да, против Сикера тоже неплохо смотрится, но как мы понимаем, то что Ликантроп как раз-таки старается не встречаться с Сикером, он старается как раз-таки встречаться именно с саппортами, а там Профетка всегда рядом. Ну, вот как было в прошлом файте. Ну да, если под Сикер дает по нему Раптуру, он сможет отступать на безопасное расстояние, тем самым получать по себе меньше урона и возвращать этот же урон Бладь Сикеру. Тут согласен, тоже. А пока все ровненько. БФ Урсы, Сашаяша Урсы, тут Вичблейд, тут Деспрофит. Я не знаю, почему Профетка себе сразу не стал собирать себе Юл какой-то БКБ, а вот собирал себе Вичблейд. Ну, не знаю, не знаю. Правильный ли это выбор? Время покажет, ребятки. Шеф-шеф, подцепили Урсу, получает по себе лассо, Урса в укон команды, Заршов прыгает дальше, Рубик ворует, смотрю, подкоп, Ликантроп побежал, Ликантропа будут убивать, Блад драйв, Раптура на него, хорошо, Соулбинд от Гримстрока слишком поздно, Манки Кинг прыгает дальше, пытается убивать Медведя, Медведя убьют или нет, нужен Бангу Страйк, Фокспрайм заряжает, это минус 3, это минус 4, это Фитфест, в размен одного Рубика, Afterlife отступает, я не знаю, почему бы Трайдер кастовал ульт свой лассо, как раз таки, когда Урса нажал ульт свой, тем самым было супер много резиста. Минус 4. 6000 перевеса за спиритами, 3800 урона от Урсы. Печаль, печальная. И проблема была в том, что Гримстрок не успел кинуть фантома в Урсу до Энрейджа. И мы видим то, что спириты готовы забирать в миду Т2 Тавр. Уже 6000 за ними на 19-й минуте. Это фейл, определенно. Линзу собирать себе Гримстроук, ему на линзу не хватает еще много. Сколько там ему не хватает? Еще 1000 золота. 950, 1000 где-то так. У Торонто Токио 13 левел. А БКБ он себе собирает. На БКБ 1000 золота не хватает. Ну, Ликана быстренько разобрали. Телекинез, Раптура, ему было очень-очень больно. Ему надо собирать себе, возможно, какую-то Линкен-сферу, но он собирает себе Кирасу. Да не печально, это так и должно быть. В смысле, печально, не печально? Ну, то, что ошиблись. Подкопали. Фейт идет на себя, Оракл накидывает. Неподалеку коллапс. Отступает Лифту Вин. У Манки Кинга что? У него агоним скоро будет. Не хватает 1500 золота. Нужно кому-то алибарду собирать. Да, кстати, было бы неплохо, если бы сам Ликан собрал бы себе алибарду. Или кто? Или Бэтрайдер. Но Бэтрайдер это не тот персонаж, который любит собирать себе подобный артефакт. Хотя тут необходимость в нем, конечно же, есть. Жестко. Линза есть у Рубика. Линза есть у Рубика, и мы видим то, что команда, ну вот Team Spirit, им надо продолжать давить. У них Death Profit, у них Урса, все. У них есть экзорцизм, пуш-потенциал.
vuelve. La Bren Chong Cup, con nada más y nada menos que $40.000 en premios y abierta a todo el mundo. La competición estará dividida en 4 regiones.
Our first match of the day, I'll bring the game sounds up a little bit. KK versus Wallace, and a reminder here that KK did lose in that first round to Matea, a very close 3-2. So if Wallace wins here, it's game over between these two. But of course, if KK wins, we go back to another matchup. We run this one back immediately. So we'll see, of course, who's able to come out on top in this one. And so far, Wallace running Royal Giant, KK running Royal Giant. I don't know who said this, Igor. Maybe Hazard. Maybe you would know. That's actually a funny slip. I don't know who said this one, but someone said, "Why?" I think it might have been Lucas. Just said, "Why don't you just run Royal Giant all the time in competitive?"
I mean, it is super consistent, right? We talked a lot about the old Royal Giant deck that kind of ran through CRL in that 2019 spring season. And I think there sometimes people get so accustomed to the deck that it's like, it's just not as good. You talked about it being one of the most popular, but one of the worst win rate decks in the whole league that season. So I think you can definitely run into some risks there, but all these players are obviously very, very good at 1v1, and I think it is one of the most solid decks. There's a lot of counter push potential in even the worst of matchups, so I think it makes a good amount of sense to just run it all the time.
Now, you got to wonder if KK's been planning for this. Taking a look at Wallace's gameplay just over the last couple of days. In the last week, Wallace has run Royal Giant in over 30% of his total games.
Yeah, that is the definition of a comfort deck right there, and he's obviously playing it very well in this Royal Giant Mirror matchup. He does have a bit of a faster cycle than KK does, but he's still able to put that to good work no matter how much of the matchup may be in his favor.
And that right tower is in a lot of trouble here, down to 502 with a minute 40 left. KK really struggling, and now damage on both sides puts that tower in real rough spot. And the fireball, man, Fisherman will pull the rug out from under you. This won't be a huge swing, but the number of times a Fisherman just goes and betrays you immediately is bananas.
Yeah, true. Although it didn't really end up hurting KK or Wallace that much. He had the skeletons on defense, which he was probably going to cycle anyways just to get to another Royal Giant down in the right lane. And obviously one more log here is going to take it. That was just really well played by Wallace for what we saw of that match.
4 HP shouldn't be a problem. This deck cycles faster than Lance Armstrong, and there you go. Tower down on the right-hand side. I was trying to queue up somebody who uses a bicycle. And but got it there. So game number 1 goes to Wallace. And a reminder, if Wallace wins this first best of 5, that's it. KK's out. Wallace moves on. But again, if KK wins it, we run it back because of this strange format of the 12-person double elimination tournament. So, you know, it's interesting, the evolution of Royal Giant over time, right? Royal Giant used to be the most popular deck we talked about a minute ago, used to be that Furnace deck, the RG Furnace, Baby Dragon. It was a very heavy, very slow, almost like a very beat-down kind of deck that almost befit Royal Giant being 6 Elixir. But over time, Royal Giant has moved into being a fast cycle deck. Do you think that's more about people realizing that Royal Giant could be played well as more quick cycle, or it's more about the cards that made the more beat-down version of it less effective?
I mean, I think it just comes to I think it just shows the versatility of the Royal Giant as a win condition, right? You wouldn't really see it that way originally. It's a 6 Elixir card. It's pretty slow. It's pretty hard to get on the tower most of the time, but it's just so good in so many variations. Obviously, you have the cycle like Royal Giants that Wallace just pulled out. You have those giant skeleton beatdown Royal Giant decks, which are still very popular today. Maybe a bit of a different variation than they used to be, but it's still just as strong, if not stronger, than it was back in 2019. So I think it just comes to show the versatility of it as a win condition.
And a big switch here, KK going double bait versus Wallace showing a very different look. Of course, also still going to get around fairly quickly. KK doesn't seem to be running a lot of double bait these days, so I wonder if maybe he's trying to outplay the analysts on Wallace's side.
Yeah, it's really hard to kind of run comfort decks or decks that you're known for in competitive, just because everybody at this level knows what everyone's good at, and you're going to expect to snipe one time or another. So I really like this move from KK. It shows a lot of confidence on his part, and it looks like he's going to be able to take out that mortar there, so he's playing it very well so far.
And yes, on voice, my co-caster is Hazard. I'll go ahead and get the graphics for him up there as well. Longtime Clash Royale pro. Of course, multiple seasons in CRL with Energy. And been around the scene about as long as anybody, so happy to have him here as well. And there's his link in the chat if you want to go ahead and follow him on Twitter. And looking like Cannon Cart Graveyard here for Wallace, and we'll see how much pressure KK can put on. It feels like this is going to be a really rough one for KK, though, Hazard.
Yeah, true. It depends on what Wallace's other win condition is. It will most likely be the Graveyard, which we might see coming out fairly soon. This is a very big counter push here, but he does have the Dark Goblin. If he's able to use that effectively against the Graveyard, then it shouldn't be too big of a problem. Bomb Tower might come out on the mortar there. Oh, Inferno Tower, actually. That's kind of a weird one, Rich.
Goes out high, and I think you're a couple of seconds ahead of me, 50 seconds left. And
Okay,
there you go,
I
the
will
Inferno
pause.
Tower does pick up the mortar on the left-hand side. Now that I see it, I was like, whoa, what a prediction here out of Hazard. And so far, KK in the lead. That Inferno Tower makes things interesting, and again, we're seeing KK go high with the Dark Goblin. Obviously, the Dark Goblin works well against the Graveyard, but and now that he's getting enough damage early in before we get in the triple, it feels like he needs to be about at least this far ahead before triple elixir hits in order to have the advantage here.
Yeah, KK is just playing this perfectly right now. I don't know if you saw that little log interaction to push back the Cannon Cart there. That was super clean, kept the Dark Goblin alive, made sure Wallace had to spend just that little bit of extra elixir against it. Will make it much harder in the long term for him to get a nice Graveyard down on the tower. Another Fireball there to take the Cannon Cart out before it tanks for the Graveyard at the river. So KK is just playing this absolutely perfectly right now.
Good read there as we go into sudden death overtime. It is KK with the lead, but that lead getting chipped down tremendously as time goes on. 12:20 to 15:96. Mortar up high with 47, 46, 45. A minute 45 left in regulation time.
Yep, I am perfectly on target with you, Rich. That was a pretty good pause. So
Oh, perfect.
we're good.
Nailed
We're
it.
good. Yeah.
Barrel to the left-hand side, goes to the outside corner. Wallace reads that easily. And now Graveyard in. And playing the Dark Goblins high here is KK. What are your thoughts on that? It seems like he wants to be putting that more behind King Tower.
I mean, honestly, against Graveyard, it's kind of a tough situation no matter what Graveyard deck you're up against, because you want to take out the support troops as well. They're going to do a lot of damage. That Cannon Cart especially is going to do a lot of damage in any situation, but obviously the more elixir you spend against those support troops, the less you're putting in the Graveyard. Dark Goblin is kind of his only big DPS unit other than Inferno Tower, which is really not very good against Graveyard regardless. So KK just kind of choosing his battles here, deciding whether or not he's going to want to go directly on the Graveyard or go for the support troops.
And that was a huge push. 6:07 to 5:89, 52 seconds left in sudden death overtime. And a good fireball there from KK to stick that Cannon Cart way behind, but another Cannon Cart right back in. Triple elixir. This is where this deck from Wallace becomes an absolute menace. And right now, poison in, Graveyard, Skeletons getting on tower, and that's going to put things very, very dangerously close. 2:04 remaining on the right-hand side. The mortar connects, and that's a GG well played.
Yeah, Wallace just kind of steamrolled there, especially in double elixir. And in triple elixir, of course, the 600 damage push to finish things off. A nice mortar connection there. Wallace really uses mortars very well throughout that whole match, Rich.
Yeah, I mean, the one that I really liked, and I don't know if what kind of read he had on it, if he thought that it was, he probably had to think it was something other than Inferno Tower, because who's playing Inferno Tower these days? But I liked the mortar on the left-hand side, aggressive, probably knowing it wouldn't connect, but just forcing out some elixir and ended up getting a nice little positive trade there.
Yeah, because Wallace, or for KK, all of his troops are very kind of small, right? Even the Knight is a pretty tanky unit, but if he uses it, then he's not going to have anything for that Cannon Cart or that Hunter opposite lane, or that Graveyard regardless. So KK, or Wallace, just using all of his cards effectively to try to make Graveyard defenses as hard as possible for KK.
Yeah, and it ended up working out well. And it's so interesting because, we're talking about that matchup, and it does feel like earlier on that matchup has have some openings there. You saw how far ahead KK got in damage in the first portion of that one, but again, when triple elixir hits, this deck from Wallace is so difficult. And now KK facing elimination. So a reminder here, if Wallace wins this, KK is out, eliminated from the match, from the tournament overall. If KK turns around and reverse sweeps this one, we play it back one more time because of Wallace's advantage from moving on in the winner's bracket.
Yeah, you have to think that Wallace is feeling very, very good right now. He's got another best of 5, even if he somehow gets reverse sweeped, which, by the way, he's playing right now. That looks like it will not happen.
So here we go. Giant Skeleton bats here for Wallace, and minor wall breakers with Cannon Cart for KK.
Yeah, Cannon Cart's being played a lot, Rich. It is one of those cards that's kind of taken over as a Musketeer. Musketeer's seen like a bunch of nerfs over time, and it seems like finally Supercell has done enough to kind of take it out of the meta and switch things up a little bit, obviously with Hunters and Cannon Carts and other ranged troops like even Zappies.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Musketeer, a total staple, and we really don't see a whole lot of her these days.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
It is. It is. What a classic. Fisherman going to get hit by the log, I think, but does not get knocked back. So Knight will get taken care of and not win that fight here. Now to the miner to the right-hand side. Wall breakers get picked up by the Hunter. Oh, one does connect, though. The Hunter not quite getting that shot all lined up correctly.
Yeah, it was a big connection, an unfortunate mistake, and an uncharacteristic mistake from Wallace there. That is just a ton of damage, obviously compared to the no damage that he's gotten on KK's tower so far.
Giant Skeleton down one more time to the right-hand side. Minute 15 remaining. Cannon cart in enemy territory, not going to do much of anything here, but will at least hold that Giant Skeleton for a little while. KK has to be careful controlling at this point, but he does cycle fairly quickly and shouldn't have any problem. Balloon does come down. How does he defend against the Balloon here? Gets the Hunter out, but I don't believe he has any sort of build, and that Hunter gets moved on. Fireball comes out. That's a lot of defensive expenditure, though, to keep that Balloon off tower.
Yeah, but honestly, Rich, I don't hate it that much. Wallbreakers going down in the opposite lane, of course, pressure really well. Make it so that Wallace can't really take that much advantage of his big elixir advantage, which is only like 2 or 3 elixir even after spending all of that Hunter Fireball on defense.
Giant Skeleton to the right-hand side. 30 seconds remaining at this stage, Hazard. Who do you think has the advantage in this matchup?
I think it might be Wallace. Wallace just can build up a huge push, and the Giant Skeleton bomb will take out almost everything here. So I think that Wallace in the end will end up just steamrolling a little bit, but KK has a lot of damage on the tower, so if he gets enough miners down, he may be able to take this.
Giant Skeleton getting across the bridge here. Balloon behind. And that miner comes out pretty perfectly positioned, but it gets on the Knight rather than on the Hunter. Snowball trying to make room. Fireball will stop the connection, but still death damage in. Not going to be insignificant, that death damage. Giant Skeleton, though, going to get stopped. I believe just half a tile out of range on that right-hand side, and it is. Miner in to the front this time. Hunter gets turned the wrong way, and those wall breakers just barely don't connect.
Yeah, KK's been playing his miners so precisely in order that Wallace has to panic with the snowball almost every single time against them. So KK's just keeping up the pressure as much as he can with these 2 elixir wall breakers to Rich.
Fisherman working on the Knight in the back. Giant Skeleton out to protect the Fish Boy. Cannon cart goes onto the Giant Skeleton and stays on as the Fisherman pulls it in. Those wall breakers will not do much here. 782 to 1827. Wallace feeling like he's in control, but he is significantly behind on elixir, and that Fireball not going to be back in rotation for a while. Hunter goes high, but gets totally absorbed. Snowball in for another Hunter. That's going to be one big-time connection, and it's going to be a second connection here. GG, well played. Wallace sends KK packing and moves on to the next round in this elimination bracket.
Yeah, that was pretty much the perfect storm there, Rich. Wallace's Giant Skeleton had about a half HP going across the river, which is super important, right? Because normally you can just play a Hunter on top of everything, and the Giant Skeleton will not die fast enough to kill the Hunter, but with the half HP Giant Skeleton there, it died almost perfectly, so that the bomb pretty much took out all of the Hunter placements. He had to play his Hunter so late on that Balloon, and by the time it went down, the Balloon was already on the tower, and that's GG.
Yeah, that's a big one. And the first regional player eliminated, KK, out of the Bren Chong Cup to Asia region is out, and so we'll see which region still stands. Keep in mind, in the winners bracket, we currently have Michifu, Mini Minter, Samuel Basoto, and Mugi. So a pretty nice representation all the way around, actually. Michifu out of the European region, Mini Minter out of North America, Samuel Basoto and out of the LATAM group, and then Mugi out of Asia. And looking like this is actually kind of cool. I didn't know they were doing this. I didn't get set up for this. Benny Hu running us through a replay here from that first game.
Yeah, I think this is a really good moment to highlight as well, in particular, because the double giant scale or the double RG pushes that Wallace just kept on doing. I believe he got double RG down 2 or 3 times throughout the match. And as you guys can see, this is only 30 seconds left into double elixir. So Wallace just keeping up the pressure pretty much immediately from the get-go throughout the entire match is what was able to get him the win there.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of pressure indeed. So Wallace does move on. I believe. I guess we're doing more replays. So we might just stick here. You're gonna see Team Queso's Benny Hu's face. What's the city he's from again? I remember there was like we come up with the something bowl the other day here on chat. Got to figure that. Got to remember what that one is. And now slowing this way down here. Let's take a look at the interaction that he's talking about.
Yes, the nice fisherman play against or the nice play against the fisherman from Wallace there is what ended up getting Wallace the connections that he wanted. Just a nice ice spirit at the bridge to counteract the fisherman. Basically happened perfectly. I think KK probably could have played his fisherman a little bit lower, but at that point you just risk taking so much tower damage that Wallace is going to get the connection regardless. So that was really well played.
And here we go. We're staying with Benny Who because more replays. This is going back to game number 3 here. What we just saw, I believe, is the giant skeleton that you were mentioning.
Yeah, this is the half HP giant skeleton. You look at it, it dies right there. I think this is what Benny's talking about here. It dies right in the middle. It covers basically all of the possible hunter placements, and it takes out some of the spear goblins as well. So he has to play the hunter so late. He plays it almost immediately after the bomb dies, but right as he plays it, the snowball is already on top of the hunter. And as you can see, the balloon has full HP when it connects to the tower and takes it out. So that was pretty perfect from Wallace, I have to say.
Yeah, that was some pretty gorgeous gameplay. I think that's it for our replays, but you know what I love here is you talking about it at the same time as you were talking about the exact same play. Benny Who, another pro on the other side of the world, you guys both seeing the same thing, and that's what we're talking about when we're looking at the top tier of Clash Royale. It's the same moment that stuck out to both of you guys, so very cool. Those figurines are dope. Oh, the ones on Benny Who's side. Actually, the Spanish broadcast, this is all coming from the Team Queso house. And you can see, yeah, they have a bunch of cool stuff, of course. The plushies that I know many of you you want. I think the only way to get baby dragons now is from the giveaways when they do happen. But, yeah, this whole thing being produced in the Team Queso studio and being sent our way. Rich should get a nose ring. No, I should not. I think the glasses are enough of, like, a move. They're enough of a mood for me on stream to not have to add a nose ring. But Benny Who does wear it very well. Might have the best piercing game, I think, in all of Clash Royale. Hazard, thoughts on Benny Who's nose ring and whether or not I should get one?
I mean, I'm just trying to think of other players that have nose rings or piercings or things like that. The only other one that I can really think of is the tattoo game on some of these players. Obviously, JP with the whole arm kind of sleeved right now, looking really good. And then Javi, I don't know if you know about this, has a one-piece tattoo, which is really cool. If any of you guys know that show.
Oh, Javi also has his Latin American Championship trophy tattooed.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's on his leg, I think.
So here we go, taking a look at the brackets. Wallace moves on, where he will rate the winner of Sohrab versus Igor. And again, it's more likely Igor, not just from a skill standpoint, but also because Igor only has to win that first BO5, whereas Sohrab has to win BO5 and then another BO5. And Yash Varden saying Bale's jawline. Thoughts, anyone? Bale's jawline is better than Tom Hardy, who played Bale. That's how good Bale's jawline is. He should probably quit Clash Royale and go into the film business because he is what we call castable in the business with that jawline. Is that the best jawline in all of Clash Royale, Hazard?
I think it kind of has to be. I hadn't noticed it before chat pointed out there, but that is picture perfect, pretty much.
Yeah, Bale disturbingly handsome for the world of esports. So good luck on your future acting career. I'm sure it will go very well. Not sure exactly what our next matchup is, but of course we have your good friend Crap against Staying Sand. We have Mateo versus La Picati and Igor versus Sohrab, and we are jumping in to our next matchup, and it is going to be Sohrab versus Igor. And, you know, not to denigrate Sohrab, he had some great performances here. It just feels like having to win 6 games against Igor feels like a tall task for anybody, even a seasoned pro.
Yeah, Igor is just one of the most consistent players in all of Clash Royale. Coming out here with a Lava Hound deck, which is kind of off character for him, but I guess it just shows that he's taking this seriously. He's pulling out all the stops. Sohrab has been playing a lot of Hog Earthquake. It's kind of what he's known for in the meta right now. So this makes a lot of sense from Igor coming out here. But that's a lot of damage in the right lane, Rich.
Yeah, it's quite a lot. And someone's pointed out he played Bane. He played Bane, not Bale. And good call there. Yes, he did play Bane with the mask. Or something about your city. But that's all I got, guys. Here we go. Flying Machine does get kited by the wall breakers for a second, but will probably connect, and this is going to be a brutal connection on that left-hand tower.
Yeah, Sohrab just not having the equipment necessary to be able to stop a big Lava Hound push there. Igor knew that he was going to be able to take the tower there. He didn't know what defenses that Sohrab would come out with. Obviously, the Tesla was not enough to take everything out, so that is going to be a huge damage advantage for Igor for the rest of the match.
And, I mean, it does feel like Sohrab can get around very quickly and might be able to steal. But what are your thoughts on the chances of him taking a tower here with 90 seconds left?
I mean, mine is kind of deceptive, right? It doesn't do that much damage, but it just stacks up so quickly over time, and he will eventually be able to outcycle these cages and barbarians from Igor to get some wall breaks on the tower. But even if he does, Igor can just tank a little bit of damage and build a big enough push into him, which is why Sohrab is still going opposite lane, even though he's down so much.
Miner into the right-hand side, and the Brawler gets touched by that log, and you have the two towers working opposite each other, so that Miner doing some more work here for Igor. Final minute, double elixir flowing in regulation time, and still the lead significant for Igor, but Sohrab trying to make his case on that right-hand side. Snowball buys him, doesn't even buy him the extra shot, actually, so kind of a rough expenditure on that Snowball for the American.
Yeah, but as you can see here, Igor going with the Lava Hound into the Barbarians, into the Wallbreaker push here, just making it so that even though he will probably take this tower, he's going to be able to counter push with these 3 Barbarians here, and that will probably be enough to just take the game out, because Sohrab obviously doesn't have anything to take out Flying Machine, so just behind that whole push, it is going to be a massive, massive thorn in Sohrab's side.
And you're going to lose the tower here. He can try to get that tower down. Going to go ahead and EQ it. That'll get it done, but Sohrab knows this was an absolute brutal beating, and that's going to be game number 1. 3 crown down for Igor, and 1 step closer to the next round of this elimination bracket.
Yeah, Igor just, I don't know, that is a very smart deck pick. Not something you expect from such a cycle player, right? Lava Hound, it's a pretty solid deck. You see it a lot in the meta lately, which is kind of strange to think about, but just a smart deck pick and a good 3 crown.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy who was very fun to watch in this fall season. But Igor was playing I think the Triple Spirit Royal Giant deck that then Lapakati trolled him with during one of their CRL games. So a guy who's so into cycle that he plays meme-level cycle decks at the highest level. Going Lava Hound here, definitely a good way to stay unpredictable as this one goes forward. So game 1 advantage for Igor, and here's the bracket one more time. Reminder, Igor made it past round 1 of the upper bracket, beating Akrap 3-0, but then lost to Michifu 3-1. So Igor is the A player, and his opponent today, Sohrab, is the B player in this bracket. Igor now 2 games away from moving on, and Sohrab still has to win 6 to try to keep this one going forward. So a rough one for Sohrab so far. But Sohrab has been really good in this tournament. And one thing I've enjoyed about it is the open qualifiers have given a lot of players some chances to perform here. So many players here. I think Asia is the only region that didn't send any non-CRL pros into this World Final bracket.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Rich, but he's kind of in an unfortunate spot right now. Just being up against the wall of having to win 2 best-of-5s in a row in your first match of losers is just so hard psychologically, because even after that, you have to win 1, 2, 3, 4 matches just to be able to get to the semifinals, finals, the loser bracket. So it is a tough road for these players here, Rich.
And the A-B player, guys, is only for this first round of the lower bracket, of the elimination bracket. Once we get past this round, then we're back to normal BO5s, of course, until we get to the grand final of this double elimination tournament, where the lower bracket champion will face off against the upper bracket champion. So Sohrab going hog cycle of some variation. You have to expect that it's going to be EQ, but who knows? Maybe Sohrab is bringing out a classic, and nope, going to be going triple spell.
Yep, and this is kind of the deck that I told you that he was known for, right? Igor obviously expects that. Looks like he's got some sort of spell cycle. Yeah, it looks like he's just spell cycle rich. So I think Igor will probably take this one as well. He'll be able to get another Tesla or Bomb Tower up against his next Hog Rider, and maybe another Tornado if need be, but I think we'll just go with another Earthquake on the tower, and Sohrab here already saying GG.
And shout out, Sir Tag just joined up in the Twitch chat. Hey, what's up, buddy? Good to see you here. This tournament's been so good, bringing out all the big Clash Royale personalities to watch and keep an eye on who wins this $15,000 grand prize.
Yeah, hey Jake, how you doing? What's up? What's up? What's up?
15,000 euros, actually. So $18,000.
Yeah, that is quite the prize for Rich. Obviously, a lot on the line here. Not going to want to take any unnecessary damage against his tower. That is Igor playing the skeletons on top of Sohrab's skeletons, and he's just getting these nados perfectly. It might be the case that Sohrab will end up going for a 3 crown, making sure to Earthquake both of the King Tower and the Crown Tower, but I don't think it'll be enough in the long run, Rich.
So you think that the Igor will be able to mitigate enough damage? I mean, they both have some pretty significant spell cycle ability. You see Sohrab doesn't have to play defense at all, so just throwing all 3 spells on tower.
Yeah, I think this matchup is easier for Sorab to play, right? Because Igor has to be consistent on his defense when Sorab can just cycle normally as a Hog player would without having to worry about defense. I think defending is the hardest part about this Hog cycle deck with Earthquake. So if anyone can win it, though, I think it's Igor.
So lead still going to the Russian, 12:38 to now 8:78, and does cycle fairly quickly, so right back to that bomb tower, and Igor just putting pressure on. No, it has not. We have not seen an opportunity yet. Sorab might want to try to cycle like crazy here and see if he can beat that bomb tower out, but of course you beat the bomb tower out, and then there's a tornado.
Yeah, although the tornado, though, is not that bad because look at this King Tower here, Rich. He's going to get 2 more hits, I believe, on top of it. That is a lot of damage. If he does end up taking this Crown Tower, even if it goes to a 2-tower game, I think he will get the 3 crown, which is kind of a weird situation for Hog Rider players, but I don't think he'll have time, Rich.
Yeah, looking like the spell cycle going to be fast and furious here, and that bomb tower is going to clean things up. Earthquake trying to get in, trying to find somebody to get the connection on the right-hand side. Sorab goes with one of the most aggressive cycling decks in the game, and Igor comes out with a pile of spells and gets game number 2.
Yeah, but you look at that, Rich. 266 HP down on that right-hand tower. If Igor messed up one tornado in that beginning sequence, he would have lost, just straight up, gotten 3 crowns. So really well played by Igor, just a very consistent, solid defensive player, showing what he's got.
Yeah, and here's people are kind of, some people in the chat are like, what is up with this? People don't really love the spell cycle deck. What are the matchups that work well? We saw one of them that works well, of course, for that spell cycle deck. What are the other matchups that work well for that? Because it's such a weird, such a niche, such a very specific deck.
I think it kind of beats exactly what Igor was expecting from Sorab, right? Sorab's been playing a lot of Hog Earthquake, and it just beats that pretty easily. He's been playing a lot of other decks like Graveyard as well. Obviously against Graveyard, you have the Bomb Tower, you have the Poison, you have the Earthquake as well. So just Poison on defense, Earthquake on offense. It is just a super solid deck against Sorab's deck pool. So pretty smart pick, kind of something you don't see very often. You saw it a little bit from Air Surfer, I think, throughout the tournament, but just a really cool deck from Igor, I think.
Vivek asking, what were Igor's last 2 cards? And I'm not entirely sure. I was kind of just paying attention to the to the nasty spell cycle here. Hazard, do you know what they were just off the top of your head?
I think it was most likely Ice
here we
Wizard.
go.
I was gonna say Ice Wizard and Knight, but Ice Wizard and Valkyrie is what he had. Obviously, he doesn't need those, right? All he needs is Bomb Tower and Tornado. It's kind of a mistake to play those cards, even cycling them in the back, because they're not going to get the tower, or not going to get to the tower 9 times out of 10, and you don't want to take any elixir away from that spell cycle you had. So Igor, even though it looked a little bit dirty, he played that absolutely perfectly, Rich.
Yeah, I mean, you almost wonder if, like, on the rare occasion, the Mirror might have been a better choice than one of those for this specific matchup.
Yeah, for this matchup, maybe, but again, you just need all the defense you can get when you're getting spell cycle, because when you're playing spells on the tower, you're only using 3 elixir, 4 elixir, and most of the time you're not going to get any extra value, right? So you need to get as much defensive value as possible.
An aggressive Royal Giant play for Igor. He is not messing around here in Game 3.
Yeah, switching things up completely, and it looks like Sorab will be kind of taking a note out of Igor's book, playing a spell cycle deck of his own, maybe a bit inspired, maybe a bit angry after that last loss.
Well, we'll definitely learn a lot here. So thinking about this matchup, obviously you expect Tornado the last part, Log, NATO, Bomb Tower, Ice Wiz, some decent DPS there. Not great, but decent. How do you feel about Sorab's chances in this matchup?
I don't think it's too bad. I think Igor can take his tower depending on what he has as a last card. It's most likely a Fireball though, Rich, and Fireball is obviously not that good against Bomb Tower, so I think it'll probably be Sorab's matchup here.
So someone saying no win condition is the new win condition, and I think that Hazard, you would argue that there is a very clear win condition in Sorab's deck.
Earthquake.
Yeah, guys.
Very solid win condition.
Someone make the shirt Earthquake as a win condition, and I will wear it. Don't you worry. I mean, I would wear it. You know what? I think they would let me wear it on CRL if I had an Earthquake as a win condition T-shirt, because it's Clash Royale related.
I would love to see that. That would be very funny, Rich. That would be pretty cool.
RG to the left-hand side. Knight with the Ice Wiz in response from Sorab. 1870 the damage on Igor's top right tower with 45 seconds left in regulation time. So far, it is the American with the lead. And we'll have to figure out if there's any way for Igor to break through here. If there's a way, you feel like he'll find it. But just the question is there actually a crack in the wall somewhere?
Yeah, it looks like he'll probably try to get the second RG down in the right lane, but Sorrow will have another bomb tower and most likely another log or skeletons or something like that just to slow things down. Fireball will come out for Igor right on top of the bomb tower, which, is going to make it a little bit harder for Sorab to defend, but still, it doesn't look like it'll get any damage. And Sorab, even though he only got a log on tower throughout the whole interaction, that's 80 more damage than Igor got at all.
Ooh, Lil Nimbus in the YouTube chat saying get some gooders that are brown and have cracked lenses and call them EQs. You know, actually in an Element series like Earthquake, Fireball, Ice, like Freeze, that would actually be a really cool series of shit. You know what? You might have just inspired something there.
I think the freeze ones sound super cool. Those sound cool, Rich.
RG to the left-hand lane. Now that we're in double, you're going to see Igor continue to start that first cycle in the back behind King Tower and set up, as we've seen, to get around to the second one. Earthquake going to be just pure cycle on the right-hand side. All it really takes is one good Royal Giant, and suddenly it's going to be very difficult for Sorab to recover, it feels. But the question is, can you get that first good one?
Yeah, and looking at it here, Rich, it just seems like those Ice Wizards are always living. And as soon as the first one dies, he already has another one up and slowing things down. Bomb Tower is not going to be able to be that effective, but that's a good fireball there, Rich, and a big connection on the right tower.
Yeah, that one connection is huge. But now that does also mean that Igor has to fight into the lane that is his weak side, so that's going to give a little bit of spell damage value as well. Log gets the skeletons, does get the Ice Wiz off, Fireball behind, Dark Goblin to work on this bomb tower. Wow! Unbelievable connection, and just like that, Igor back in the lead. But can he maintain it against the vicious spell cycle that Sorab's going to bring to the table right now? 764, 701, the ticking away on the right-hand side. Log working right now. Lead goes right back to the American with 35 seconds left. Bomb tower high. What does Igor need to do to win this one, or does Sorab have this one locked up?
Igor just needs so many more connections like that one. That was a huge blunder on Sorab. The log pushing the RG out of the bomb tower's range and getting 2 hits on the tower there, but I don't think it'll be enough poison and earthquake just raining down on this right-hand tower. That was unbelievably close for how solid Sorab played that for the first few minutes.
That was absolutely crazy, and just one, you talked about you just have to defend perfectly, right? And we saw that the first time they played this matchup where it was Igor playing Spell Cycle and Sorab playing Hog, and Igor just defended perfectly, made 0 mistakes. You saw one mistake from Sorab really opened the door, but again, another powerful matchup here for that Spell Cycle deck. So weird match so far. Hazard still does have match point, but Sorab making an argument. So here's the question, right? It looks like Sorab's kind of frustrated. If you're Sorab in this moment, what do you play? Do you go back to Spell Cycle again? Do you think that Igor is going to try to have something that can snipe the Spell Cycle? Like, what's the direction here for Sorab?
I mean, I think he'll probably go with Graveyard. It's a super solid deck, especially against these RG decks in the meta right now. I don't think Igor will play Spell Cycle again, and I don't think he'll play Lava Hound again, so I would go with Graveyard if I were Sorab.
Graveyard, certainly. We've seen a lot of that, especially in some of the regionals here, so we'll see if he does take your advice on that one. And a lot of people in the Twitch chat calling on that Surtag might want to help Sorab out and give him tips on the illegal emote strategy to rage quit Igor. And yeah, very popular, very effective strategy as well. But you got to feel like that's one of those ones that even Igor won't fall susceptible to.
Yeah, and it's a really weird situation in this match so far. I mean, you look at the match that Igor won with Spell Cycle against Sorab, that was 266 HP of difference between those two towers, but it just seemed like Igor was in complete control the entire time. This one, 600 damage at the end for Sorab on his tower. Definitely a little bit safer, but it just felt that much more kind of exciting and catastrophic, and I don't know, it seemed like Igor still had the advantage even though he lost. Yeah,
well, he certainly had the door open at one point, and that's one of the interesting pieces. You talked about that log knocking the Royal Giant out of bomb tower range. And there are some weird interactions like that. Obviously, one of the more famous ones, using bats to push a balloon outside of tower on the offensive side, not when your opponent mistakenly knocks your troop out of tower. But one of the ones we saw a lot in 2v2 this last year in CRL was playing Royal Giant, Giant Skeleton, and finding a way to put the RG between the two Giant Skeletons to push the Royal Giant out of tower range. Do you know the interaction that I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. You just play the RG on the outside and then the Giant Skeleton in the middle, and then most of the time, if things work out perfectly, if there's something like distracting the Giant Skeleton, it will pull the RG or push the RG to the outside, because Giant Skeleton, obviously such a heavy unit, it can kind of push anything it wants around.
I think it's one of those interactions that maybe the developers didn't really anticipate for, RG Giant Skeleton, such a huge pair. And, the game was never balanced around 2v2 specifically, but ended up becoming one of the coolest technical interactions in all of 2v2 that we saw happen a fair bit in the later stages of the 2020 season. And here we go, looking like Sorab probably is taking your advice and going Graveyard here. And yes, here we go, first GY in. And this is a huge connection with the cannon cart.
Yeah, an uncharacteristic early mistake from Igor there. Just took a lot of damage. He tried to snowball the archer away in the cannon cart as well to slow things down and make sure it would die, but did not end up dying in time. And that is a ton of damage in what looks like to be a Graveyard Mirror matchup here. So Sorab with a great start in the 4th game.
Cannon cart in, Graveyard getting tanked for fairly nicely, though, and maybe a mistake here in the opposite direction. Sorab giving up that huge lead as we go into the 2nd minute of play.
Yeah, what is happening here, Rich? Just both sides getting so much damage. Normally, Graveyard matchups is kind of like it's kind of a grind, right? You want to poison, you want to get as much Skeleton Chippers as you can, but normally you expect only 2 or 3 hits on the Graveyards, especially in single elixir here, Rich. But just time and time again, this Mega Minion will get another swipe, so much damage each and every push.
Back and forth, a little bit on the board right now for Igor. Don't think he's going to double down here. Cannon cart in response from Sorab. Igor has plenty of elixir now to respond to the cannon cart as it pushes. And Sorab going to double down on a cannon cart push here with no Graveyard behind.
Oh, I really like that from Sorab. Igor, he only had cannon cart and bomb tower against that, right? And obviously, even though Sorab's cannon cart was at like 1 HP, if you play your own cannon cart against it, it will be taken out just the same. So a really good play there by Sorab. Igor didn't want to waste his cannon cart, so he saves it using the bomb tower, but it ends up biting him in the back a little bit, taking 300 more damage on his tower.
And now that fireball is going to put this thing pretty much in death range on the left-hand side. This is a really important push for Igor. Sorab looking like he has a good chance of sending this to a game number, or to a game 5 for sure, and maybe even a 2nd set. But Igor does take the left-hand tower. Sorab gets the cannon cart on the right, though.
That is a ton of damage and just perfect pressure. That is kind of a Hog Rider play, right? Your opponent goes Graveyard on the tower, and you want to play a Hog opposite lane as soon as they use their big spell against their Musketeer. Same thing with Archers there, right? Igor fireballs the Archers, and Sorab immediately counteracts it with a cannon cart opposite lane, taking the tower down all the way to 1400, and this tower is going down, Rich.
Wow, 272 on the right-hand side. So it looked like Igor had just maybe, taken control of this matchup, but the elixir expenditure on the left lets Sorab go heavy on the right-hand side. And now we go into sudden death overtime, and Sorab can pretty much just play some defense and maybe cycle a fireball or 2.
Yeah, he's already got the bomb tower set up here. He's just waiting for Igor to play, but Igor looks like he's already moving on to the next match here, not playing anything of his own. That will be GG and a reverse sweep possibility here to go into the next set, Rich.
Wow, that would be crazy. Remember that if Igor wins this game 5, it's over for Sorab. If Sorab wins this upcoming game 5, he has to go back in it again, has to play Igor one more time. So, Igor knows he has that cushion to give, knows he has 4 more losses total to give up in this one. But certainly at that point, Igor kind of just resetting and going, okay, let me focus on what's coming up next.
Yeah, and what do you think they're going to run out here, Rich? I don't know what Sorab's going to turn to. I was able to predict the Graveyard, but honestly, I have no idea what he'll pull out for this 5th game.
Yeah, I mean, with Igor, it's 2 options, right? Either one, just to make a statement, he goes Mortar, because he says, I'm Igor, and I'm the best Mortar player, and I'm going to beat you when you think that I'm going to run Mortar, which we've seen him do before. Alternatively, he goes with something that no one's seen him play, like we saw in game number 1, going with Lava Hound. That's not really his style. So that's what I'm thinking from Igor, but I would not be surprised. Igor, there's 3 letters you need for Igor, and that's E, G, and O. And if there's one thing I do know about Igor is he likes to make statements with his gameplay, whether it's playing the same deck 4-5 games in a row during No Tilt World Championship against Jupiter King, or whether it's doing the same sort of thing here, or playing his comfort deck on the World Final Stage his first time out. Igor loves to stun, and I think we might see him go might see him go mortar bait here.
I would really like to see Mortar from Igor. I kind of hope Sorab just ends up running E-Giant into it. E-Giant is not very good against Mortar. I don't know. Not really rooting for either side here. It would be cool to see an NA player would be cool to see a fellow Hazard win. So either way, Rich, I'm excited for this next match.
And yes, AC will be playing today, guys. Here is the bracket link in the chat, and I know on Twitch, maybe you're not getting that bracket link, so let me go ahead and make a copy-paste over to Twitch for those notifications, and I'll send that to you guys. Boom. There's the bracket link for you guys on Twitch. We're going to be seeing the entire lower bracket today. We're going to see 6 total matchups for between 6 and 10 matches, depending on how many times the B player wins in this first chunk of the lower bracket. Tushar Gandhi, what happened to Ruben? Watch the European Regional Championship. That's how you find out what happened to Ruben. Let's go ahead and jump into our final Game 5. Again, Igor wins this. It's all over for Sohrab. If Sohrab wins this, we run it back for a second BO5.
Yeah, and it looks like Sohrab might be going comfort again with this Hog Earthquake. It's something that he's super comfortable with. He's ran it a lot. Igor, though, could be running the same thing. Oh,
So,
no.
Baby Dragon for Sohrab. And looking like it might be Cannon Cart GY for Igor.
Yeah, this might be another Graveyard Mirror matchup, Rich. I don't know what decks run Baby Dragon Snowball. It's kind of a weird combo you don't see very often. Maybe this is some sort of balloon deck, some sort of lava deck, some sort of graveyard deck. Most likely graveyard, but...
Yeah, I mean, you have lots of popular graveyard tanks, of course. And Zappy's here. Interesting.
Yeah, Sohrab is going super, super safe here. Zappies are a very strong defensive unit as of right now. And a graveyard, though, that is very aggressive. That is not a safe play like that at all. I like that he's being aggressive here, but that might not have been the right time to do it, Rich.
Yeah, I mean, Zappy's nowhere within range for tanking at all, and now a pretty significant counter push going to build up for Igor with the Cannon Cart behind the Knight. Baby Dragon will be more than enough to stop that at the bridge, though. And that's actually a nice elixir advantage here for Sohrab.
Yeah, looking at the elixir there, they're basically even with Sohrab having a Baby Dragon on the tower, and the Mega Minion will be able to take it out here barely. They'll be able to trade there. Igor panicked a little bit with that bomb tower. Not what I would have liked to see there, but still, I don't know. Sohrab going with an aggressive graveyard early and being up 3 elixirs, not something you see very often.
Yeah, really, really strange. And a part of it is that cycled snowball on tower from Igor. He was already down on elixir and cycled a snowball, and that's why he's at 3.
Yeah, I think he was trying to get back to another ground tank for the Knight at the Bridge. He might have recognized that the Mega Minion was going to trade with the Baby Dragon there regardless, so he needed to get back to the bomb tower there. But still, I don't know, maybe not the best allocation of elixir, but it doesn't seem too bad for him so far with archers against his graveyard here.
Cannon Cart on defense, archers in the back, 45 seconds left in regulation time. And holding the line high with a good job here. This Cannon Cart staying on its wheels for a while. I don't think it crosses the bridge, and no, it will get stuck in its own territory. But now they are pretty much even on elixir as Sohrab banks up with his Goblin Cage, and Igor sets up Cannon Cart into the same lane.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about this whole match, Rich. I don't think Sohrab has gotten one unit past the river. I think he maybe got one archer in the left lane and single elixir when he split them, but other than that, it's kind of hard to think about what has been able to even become a counter push here from Igor.
Yeah, so far hasn't hurt, and the Baby Dragon does stay outside of Princess range, so that's going to be a little helpful here for Sohrab, who goes Graveyard one more time. But again, the naked untanked 4 graveyards from Sohrab, very aggressive. He is taking the lead here, but it does seem like he's kind of opening the door consistently for Igor, and maybe he's recognizing some of Igor's overspends, and that's why he's playing in that way.
Yeah, I think what Sohrab's trying to do is he's just trying to win all the bridge battles, right? You look at Graveyard Mirror matchups, and it's all about bridge battles most of the time. You see Igor kind of won the bridge battle there for the first time in the whole match, and that's why he goes into the Graveyard and takes it. But Sohrab just trying to make sure that Igor has to allocate as much elixir to defense as possible so you can keep that Baby Dragon alive at the bridge and just get value time and time again with it.
Really great timing from the Russian there to play the Knight as the Cannon Cart, the first one, died. Baby Dragon distracted, then picked up one more time. So now Cannon Cart and Mega Minion trying to join this graveyard on the opposite side here. And that's going to be a nice little lead for the Team Liquid player. 13:57 on the right-hand side with 1:05 remaining. And now it looks like Sohrab going to load up in the left-hand lane. Cannon Cart in response.
Yeah, but that Cannon Cart, though, will not get any counter push value. Arrows down on the archers, Hunter taking for the graveyard. This might be a little bit of damage for Sohrab, but looking at Igor's tower here, that is a ton of damage. And the Mega Minion not locking on the tower there. close though. 348 or 381 remaining on that tower.
Final 40 seconds. Igor firmly in control. A win here does send him on to the next one. And looks like Sohrab might be waving the white flag. Graveyard comes in. Arrows do not hit the archers. And if you were in trouble before, now it's absolutely devastating. Igor connects. GG, well played. Sohrab out. Igor moving on to the next round.
Yeah, as soon as the bridge battle started going Igor's way, it was just snowballing in his favor. Sohrab had dominant performance in the first 2 minutes of the game, and it looked like he was going to take it from that standpoint, but he got almost no damage, Rich, even though he's up that much elixir.
Yeah, and here we go, taking a look at the matchup data here, and of course, not a ton of matchup data between these two decks. 6 of 8, the closest that we're going to get here. A big part of that probably Sohrab going pretty far outside the meta with this very, very strange graveyard deck.
Yeah, and it looked like it would be alright, right? The Vapor Dragon was just getting so much value. Igor was having to spend so much elixir, oftentimes using Archer's Mega Minion and Snowball to take it out, but Zappies didn't really do very much for him. Igor had Fireball to take those out 100% of the time. And then you look at some other situations in the match, right? Arrows down on the Archers, but Igor always had Snowball for the Graveyard defenses, and was just able to kind of push really well. So, well played to Igor.
Let's go over to Benny, who from Team Queso, who's going to bring some replays from that matchup for us. And of course, I'm going to let Hazard talk us through some of those big moments. We'll see which plays Benny who decided to target here. Of course, you guys probably know Benny from his long time in Clash Royale League. Of course, Clash Royale overall. But 5 seasons in CRL, all with Team Queso, including the World Championship in our 2020 season alongside his 2v2 teammate Kuchiku, IMJP, and Ruben. So we'll see what Benny decides to bring out here for the replays. But this is actually a fun thing. They haven't been doing this all season, or all year for this event, and I'm happy that we do get to have this a bit in. So I guess that here we go. So this is going back to the second spell cycle match. I believe this is game 3 here, and I don't know if you know the moment that we're going to take a look at here, Hazard.
I think this is when the RG was pushed by the log by Sohrab here. Sohrab logging the RG there is about to anyways, and then it locks on the tower getting 2 hits. That was a big mistake by Sohrab, and it's kind of made this match so close and so stressful for us casters anyways. At that moment, the match got so much more exciting. Obviously, Sohrab losing the advantage there and kind of losing his cool a little bit, but immediately going with the double spells on the tower, just taking that out over time, defending pretty well after that point.
Yeah, I mean, that's, again, such an interesting... And it's one of the interesting things about the log from a mechanical standpoint. Do you know exactly from a tile perspective how far out it knocks back versus knocks to the side?
I mean, I think it's only like 1 tile, right? I don't think it's that excessive. Obviously, the knock back on the tile doesn't feel as big because troops are typically coming towards your tower, but I think it's the same for both sides. Although even that 1 tile there, Rich, is enough to get that RG 2 hits on the tower, which is a big connection, especially in that matchup.
Yeah, it's just the 1 tile, but also in terms of the length of the log, right? If the log is, let's use a pair of shades here. We'll use the pizzas. Use a pair of shades, right? So this is my log. I don't know if you're watching the stream here.
Yeah, I have it open.
Okay, so at what point? Oh, you know what? We're looking at the bracket. At what point though, with my finger, does it actually knock? Is it you have to get all the way to the outside, or does here?
Yeah,
work?
I think the log is like the log itself covers 3 tiles, and then on the outside tiles it pushes to the side as well as back. So I think that's how it works. But
So here-
I'm not too sure on the specifics.
All right, well, maybe we'll have to get OJ to make a tech video on how that log works precisely. Here we go, taking a look at the lower bracket, and a banger of a matchup in the second round of the elimination bracket, going to be Wallace and Igor. So that's going to be a super fun one. Of course, we do have a couple more matches here. Stang Sand and Crap going to take place before we get there, and of course, Matea and Lapacati. So we'll see if we still have 2 players who either completely non-CRL players in this lower bracket in Stang Sand and Matea, but we've already had Sohrab eliminated. If AC can beat Stang Sand and Lapo can beat Matea, then suddenly we will be all the way down to just the 1 mini-minter, who of course was tied to a CRL team for a moment. But the hard part for both Lapacati and for Akrap is they are both at the disadvantage. Lapo has to win 2 best-of-5s against Matea to move forward.
Yeah, and this is a match that I'm really looking forward to, Rich, in particular, because Lapo, obviously a very seasoned player here. He knows the game almost better than anyone I can think of. He just plays so much. But Matea, though, has been super, super solid. Obviously, winning that European league, European region, rather. So, wait, what is happening?
Graveyard in, and I wonder if Matea disconnected? Oh, boy.
Not the start I was looking for here, Rich. This is a match that I really anticipated. Matea was someone who I was really looking out for. He was playing very, very well. But a few crucial mistakes here in that first match is going to cost him the game. Looks like it shows some unfortunate circumstances there, Rich.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he was too busy playing Rocket League and forgot that his game started. Who knows? That's not what you expect, but it is what it is. Wow. Very, very unfortunate moment there for Matea. I'm going to go ahead and maybe see if anybody knows in the chat, in the caster chat here, what was going on. But let's see. Oh, by the way, guys, for those of you who are watching right now, if you're on Twitch, go ahead and follow. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications. Of course, tons of fun Clash Royale-related content here, whether it be these live events like this one. We're back again tomorrow, of course, with the culmination of this tournament where we will award that €15,000, $18,000 grand prize alongside the rest of the prize pool, but also other fun content related to CRL, related to Clash Royale competitive in general, all right here. So if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and make sure you come back for this and more really fun Clash Royale stuff. Alexander has asked us a couple times in the chat if you are going to start up your YouTube channel again.
We will see, Rich. Honestly, it's the kind of thing that, like, if I enjoy it, I will do it, and I will do it proudly. But if I'm not, like, there 100%, I don't want to just kind of half-ass it, right? You know?
Sure.
I might. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. Who knows? Look, you might make and you know what? Maybe Hazard makes a YouTube channel of something else. Like maybe it's a free-running YouTube channel or a YouTube channel about cooking breakfast. So, you know.
Maybe. I don't know how to do either of those things, Rich, but might as well learn on YouTube, right?
Yeah, well, like, look, breakfast, not that bad. Eggs aren't, eggs, easy to learn, hard to master. That's a good way to put eggs. So I think that's a good place to start. And then, you know, it's almost impossible to mess up oatmeal. Not the best cooking show for oatmeal, but it's definitely a good place to start, I guess, or if you don't want to make in trouble.
Yeah, just switch over to an oatmeal-only YouTube channel that night. That might not be the best idea here, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe it's a niche category that YouTube needs and wants. It's just not there yet.
And guys, one couple things. First of all, someone's asking for the creator code. Thank you very much. My code, and then the bottom left-hand side of your channel, or bottom part of your channel right there. Code RICH in all Supercell games, Clash Royale, Clash of Clans, Brawl Stars. Put in an RICH before you make any purchases, and that does support me. And I'd appreciate if you support me, obviously, but if you don't support me, put in someone's code. But Code RICH is my favorite of the codes, but there are lots of cool creator codes out there. If you're going to buy something, make sure you support a creator. And someone's talking about saying that the match shouldn't count if that happens. Everyone, this is weird. Why are we? I guess there's a little technical error there. Here's the problem with playing online, guys, is you never know the reason for the disconnect. So the rules for online events like this one state that the player is always in charge of their own connection. It's always their responsibility. So you know, that's an unfortunate circumstance there, of course, for Matea. But when we're playing offline and you can verify, like everyone's in the same room, when something like that happens, they can actually go in and check and verify that there was an issue. But when you're playing offline, who knows why the player didn't play? Who knows what happened? And just the general rule for online play is your connection, your issue. So unfortunate for Matea there, but we'll get it there. Let's see. There's a match bug. Oh yeah, that little like game capture bug. So it was a glitch, not a lag out. He never got into the game, says AC. Oh, interesting. Whoa. Okay. Crap, who is playing here fairly soon, saying that we might. And it looks like we're gonna get some information here, but I guess he never got into the game, so we're gonna get some information on that one. And that, of course, is not the player's problem. That, of course, is a different technical issue.
Yeah, but it's one of those weird situations where it's like, how do you administer this? It might be lag, it might be some other situation. Obviously, Matea didn't want that, but you can't know what the ruling is here. You try to be fair to Lapo because obviously both players have to show their first decks, which is a very, very important information piece for the rest of the match. So just pretty unfortunate on both sides, I guess.
Yeah, and that is one of the hard parts about a thing like this, is that you don't know the reason, right? You don't know what happened. So unfortunately, they do have to go ahead and, I guess they're going to discuss it right now. But that is what it is. ProJohn12 saying, can I join CRL? ProJohn12, of course you can. That's the cool thing about CRL 2021. Rules in the chat and also being linked in the description below. Crap saying, rematch, same decks. He was typing in the clan chat while the game was going on.
What?
So very interesting. So I guess there was some sort of bug where the game began, but he was stuck in clan chat, and he was typing while the game was happening. So I guess that they're trying to figure out some sort of issue to solve this. So we'll keep you guys posted on when we actually get the gameplay started back up again. But again, to answer your question about CRL 2021, CRL 2021 open to anybody, everybody. So yes, ProJohn12, you can play, because if you make the top 1,000 on ladder, you qualify for that month's CRL. The top 1,000 get invited to a series of tournaments and brackets. The top 32 play in a big-time bracket, and the top 8 make the monthly broadcast. Every month, about $75,000 in prize pool per month on the line for that tournament, distributed amongst the top 32. And, of course, the overall prize pool, $1.6 million this year. Huge, huge grand prize, and your performance every single season in terms of ladder and that bracket does accumulate you points to potentially qualify for that world final, which I'm believing is going to be in December, as it usually is.
Yes, chat, and Rich said that right. You can make it there. You can do it all by yourself. You know, you don't need these big orgs to sponsor you. You can just, grind a little bit of GCs, max 1 or 2 decks out, maybe a mortar deck. Mortar is good enough to get you to that top spot. And then once you're there, of course, you get to play against the best players in the world in these brackets, get some points down, and then you might be one of the best players in the world.
And before anybody starts talking about, well, it's ladder, well, I need to have a max deck. Well, there's a player named Mohammed Light, who with a level 12 account and with a level 12 EWIZ and level 12 log made top 200 this season. So, having some high-level cards is certainly valuable. But there you have a guy making top 200 with two very, very key legendaries, both at level 12. So, pretty brilliant. And that just goes to show that no matter what you say, skill is still, to making top 1,000, skill is still the primary factor.
Yeah, and I think there's a bit of a glitch here on the screen. I don't think it is 1-0 Matea. What I heard from Allcrab, at least in the chat, was that they're doing a rematch with the same decks. Although this doesn't look like a graveyard deck from Lapo, so I don't really know what's going on here. Maybe we'll get some word from the admins here, but kind of a weird situation so far.
No, it is. Okay, so this is the craziness. Here's what happened. The first game, there was a glitch and Matea couldn't get in the game, and so they had to restart and replay. Second game was the one that you saw where our spectators glitched. So the replay of game number 1, Matea won 3-0. But we didn't see it because there was a spectator glitch. And now we are into the third play, but actually it's game 3 here. And, wow, a well-played coming out from Lapo. This is the craziest BO5 I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, this is just strange, Rich. Obviously, Matea was playing that time, but all we've seen from him is a 3-crown. It still ends up being 1-1, though. I don't know what's going on. It's clearly pretty exciting, though.
Oh, and I guess I'm being corrected here that it was level 12 minor, not EWIZ. Either way, Mo was brilliant and played with level 12 minor and level 12 log and level 12 king tower and made top 200 ladder. So, blame your card levels. But Mo certainly showed that a high skill level can, to a certain point, overcome some of those challenges. But that was pretty cool. Who is the co-caster? Good question there. Hazard, longtime Clash Royale pro, CRL, 3 seasons with Energy. Very, very cool. Yeah, guys, this was bananas. So to explain what happened again here this whole time. First game, there was a glitch and Matea didn't get in the game, so they replayed game number 1. But then there was a problem with the spectator, so we weren't able to watch game number 1, and Matea won that 3-0. I have no idea what just happened, but La Picati won that one, and now we're going to technically game 3 all tied up 1-1. That's what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, seems like things are pretty even after the smoke is all cleared up, but this has just been a wild. I was expecting something exciting here, Rich, but this is far beyond anything I could have prepared for.
Yeah, well, I guess, you know, with the big money on the line, and I'm guessing, Keenan saying big appreciation for Mateo Sportif. Let me see if there's any other notes here of, are they like trading back and forth to like even things up because of all this banana stuff? Man, I am trying to figure out what the heck is going on. You can see your screen, infinite mirroring your sunglasses. Yeah, no, dude, I got these are the flies right here. These are the Hanukkahs. These are the we had lights first. Gotta love them. Can I please tell Hazard patience? Paciencia?
Yeah, paciencia. Yeah. That was back in like spring 2019. I would go on Rockstar stream a lot when I was trying to like learn Spanish a little bit, and that was one of the phrases that I kind of latched onto because he kept going all in and panic. Like, yo, patience, man. You could do it. Just calm down a little bit, defend, then counter push, and you got this. So yeah, good times.
Yeah. Let's see. Those are not the Hanukkahs. I'm offended. These are the Hanukkahs. What are you talking about? Boom! Look at that. Got the dreidels and the. Look at that. Got the dreidel. You can see them if I get it close enough. There you go. The dreidels and menorahs, all that stuff. The Hanukkahs. Let's go ahead and jump into what I believe is now game number 3. Here's actual game number 3. All tied up. Mateo with 1 win. Lapa with 1 win. And I think we're going to see an actual game of like correctly played Clash Royale here finally. Who knows though? These ideas might just throw down their phones and decide to sword fight instead at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Mateo is putting on all the stops already. Going with the giant skeleton balloon push. This is something you only see typically in double elixir once all the stars kind of align, but he's going for it right away. Lapo though, maybe with a spell cycle deck. You've seen a lot of this today, Rich.
Well, and keep in mind, Lapo and Igor, close friends, training partners. I would not be surprised if they were both kind of going, let's go ahead and meme a little bit and show how good we are at the same time.
Yeah, they are 2 players that are both very good and both think they're better than anybody else by far. And they have the skill to be able to make that happen in most of the time, most case scenarios. So they're just, probably practice the match a few times, say, hey, we could play spell cycle, let's just win. And then, make sure it's good enough to play, and here they are.
Yeah, you talk about that, I think they're better than everybody else. I wonder how they're able to get along so well, considering that. I mean, there's the phrase "iron sharpens iron," and maybe it's just these 2 guys banging their swords together turns them both into the elite world-class level players they are.
Yeah, I think they definitely both push themselves a lot, practicing whatever they both want the upper hand on each other constantly, which is only going to make them both better. So I think it definitely is a little bit of that, Rich.
Spell cycle on the left-hand side here. Lapo just throwing as much as he can. Tesla down, going to work against the balloon after it takes care of the barbarian. And you're assuming there's a NATO here. We'll see if he King Tower activates, and yes, he does.
Yep, super solid defense there from Lapo, just making sure that he's going to take out the defense perfectly. Almost no damage on either of his towers, and the earthquakes on the other tower are going to start adding up soon.
Spell cycle so far undefeated on the day, 2-0. Lapa looking to make it a clean 3 here. Remember, guys, Lapakati is the B player in this matchup, having lost in the first round of the winner's bracket, whereas Mateo made it to the second round of winner's bracket. So if Lapo does win this best of 5, they do have to run it back. So Mateo with some room to give here, but of course you never want to give a guy like Lapo an inch.
Yeah, and Lapo is just completely in control right now, defending everything perfectly for the most part. Only fireballs have hit the tower so far, I believe. So this is looking like Lapo will end up taking the win here. Unless triple elixir, something crazy could happen, so you never know.
Giant skeleton to the right-hand side. Tesla set up early this time by the Belarusian. I think that's how you pronounce it. Belarusian? Belarusian is probably how you have to do that. Oh, and the balloon on the left-hand side. Tesla does come down in time, though. This deck does, even with all the spells, this deck does cycle deceptively fast.
Yeah, Lapo there kind of throwing a bit of a sneaky log underneath to get around to another Tesla there. It's something that you don't really think of, and a lot of players will probably panic in that situation, like, oh, I have 4 spells in a night, what do I do with my hand here? But Lapo playing calm, cool, and collected, just cycling perfectly and getting down those defenses that he needs.
Giant skeleton to the right-hand side, 982 on the left-hand side. Log will continue to add to the lead here for Lapo. Reminder, Hunter and Miner are the bans in this one. Fireball gets to the Ice Whiz, but doesn't get the Ice Whiz off the board. now does with the Baby Dragon. Pretty big stack here on the right-hand side, Hazard.
Yeah, those Ice Wizards are stacking up a little bit, but Lapo will most likely have another Tesla here, and I don't think this Giant Salesman's going to get anywhere. Lapo not even worried about it, actually, going for another Earthquake. Probably play a Knight up high and then another Tesla once this one goes down.
Ooh.
Never mind.
Has the NATO here, maybe. Yes, he does. Ice Wiz to the inside. And this NATO, really aggressive from Matea, trying to find a way through on the right-hand lane. NATO going to be back in cycle here, one away, I believe. Now Log does take care of business. NATO's all that back. Ice Wiz working on the left-hand side. Quick spell cycle could finish this thing off for La Picati, and it will. Just stacking Ice Wizards. Perfect defense, and Lapo takes game number 3.
Yeah, a creative attempt there from Matea, NATOing that Ice Wiz the opposite lane, but Lapo already had another Ice Wiz down, so it wasn't going to slow everything down. And Lapo just defending really solidly throughout that whole game. A bit of a slip up with that one Tesla, but it wasn't enough to put the edge in Matea's favor, and that's GG.
GG, well played. Sim asks, does EQ need a nerf? Almost assuredly, EQ needs a nerf. Let's go ahead and take a look at the brackets as they stand for the moment. A reminder, the winner of this one, well, sort of. If Lapo wins, they run it back. If Matea wins, then he goes on. But the winner overall of this matchup will move on to round 2, where they will face the winner of AC versus Stang Sand. And, of course, tomorrow we see that winner's bracket, Michi versus Mini, and that's maybe one of the cooler matchups that we're going to see in this entire way. And then Samuel Basoto against Mugi. I mean, can it get much better than that, Hazard?
Yeah, no, there's going to be some big matches later. I don't know if those are today or tomorrow, but they are super exciting. I cannot wait to see Mugi in action against Samuel, I believe it was. That is just an exciting match.
And let's see, Chris Furka in the YouTube chat saying, hi, Rich, can you send me a shout-out? Great job casting. No, Chris, I cannot send you a shout-out. I can't do that. But Chris Furka, no shout-out for you, Chris Furka. Let's see, does EQ need to be removed from the game? I don't know if it needs to be removed. That's an interesting question, right? Because there are a few cards where where you feel weird about them, right?
Yeah.
Earthquake feels so situational, but when it's strong, the situation is, do you have a deck, essentially? And then there are other cards that, again, feel so situational. I actually really dislike the Battle Healer, but I don't mind a weakened version of Heal Spirit, right? Even though initially the idea was no healing in the game whatsoever. I think that the Night Witch is fine where she is, the Classic Witch is fine where she is, and that Mother Witch is a weird addition to the game. But the question is, like, at what point are there cards you think need to be just removed overall from the deck pool?
Yeah, I don't know. Earthquake is kind of a weird card in that it makes a lot of sense fundamentally, right? It's a card that's supposed to help big tanks like Hog Riders or Golems or whatever make it to the tower, because against a lot of decks like Expo decks or Graveyard decks, most of the time you're just not going to be able to break through those defenses with a solid push. Even if you play all of your Elixir on offense and support troops, buildings are just super strong, so Earthquake was accompanying to that, right? It was supposed to help make it a little bit easier to break through, but it's just used in a completely different way, right? It's just used on its own, spell cycle, as a win condition, and I don't think it's a very good card in that state of the game. But I like the card overall just being an anti-building card.
And St. Bellican in the Twitch chat saying EQ should never have existed. And Belly does have very specific opinions about aspects of the game, but a very experienced player and certainly has had some phenomenal insights. And that is an interesting question, right? That you can't really remove cards from the game, but here's a question for you. Let me frame it this way, Hazard. If you could go back and prevent, I'll give you 3 cards from ever existing in the game. What 3 cards would you? What 3 cards would you back to the future?
I really want to say Sparky, but I'm not going to. I think I'm going to go with, let's see, maybe, I don't know. I think Earthquake is definitely one. I think that Barbarian Hut, even though it was in the game right away, I just don't think it's a very good and fun card. And then maybe third, I don't know. That's a tough one, Rich. That's a really tough one.
I mean, I would say Barb Hut is #1 on my list there. That I would, if I could go back in time, I would stop Barbhut's parents from ever meeting. That'd be my first one. Yeah, I'd get Barbhut completely out. I'm probably. I actually don't mind the Elixir Golem as much as I mind the Battle Healer. I'd probably go ahead and back in time, and I'd take the Battle Healer and I would just nudge her towards, like back over towards the Clash of Clan doors, and just kind of like wall up the Clash Royale door. As a third though, that's a hard one for me. I don't mind without Battle Healer. I don't mind the big pile of pink goo. It's just with the Battle Healer where I don't like it. And the Barbhut on top of that, actually.
Yeah, I don't mind Eagle either. I think it's a pretty fun card when you get down to it. And it is just... It's a very risky card, right? It gives so much counter push potential, more counter push potential than any other card in the game, right? Because obviously, cards stack up against how much HP there is, and then gives you that 4 elixir buff once the push is all said and done. So I don't mind Eagle at all. It just doesn't die when that healer's behind it.
Yeah, that's the super annoying part of it. After that, I don't know. I like what Fisherman did to the game. It's a hard card to balance, but I like what it did overall. It made a lot of really interesting parts of the game. I think it's very cool mechanically. I know if Night Owl's somewhere around here watching, I know he's been watching a lot of competitive Clash, he would get the Ram Rider out. But I don't hate Ram Rider. I don't know. It's a really interesting one. So did someone say Ice Golem? Because Ice Golem is, I'd make a deck of all Ice Golems if I could. He's the best card in the game, no questions.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a weird one. I was thinking of cards that I didn't want to remove, right? Like NATO is a card that, sure, it gave life to a lot of kind of annoying decks, right? Like this kind of spell cycle deck is impossible to play without NATO. This kind of Expo cycle Ice Wiz NATO that you used to see a lot, like Rocket cycle decks, is impossible to play without NATO. But I don't think NATO needs to be removed in the game in the same way that something like Earthquake itself should just be completely changed.
Some suggestions to go and time warp it. Firecracker is one suggestion. Mod Sod saying Golem, but if there were no Golem, what would I spend all my time hating? You know, so that's a hard question. And looking like we're having a bit of a freeze here with the
clean feed, yeah.
The clean feed. So, guys, it's one of the challenges of running an international broadcast that's going across oceans. So, as soon as we have this one working again.
Looks like we're back. Are you?
Yep, I'm back.
You back?
I'm
at
back
210.
Oh no, I'm back at. Hold on. Mine was
Where are you at?
I'm lagged out again.
Oh.
I'm at 2:14, 13, 12, 11.
Okay.
I'm not even. Oh, let me see if I can get live. I'm at 158, 57, 56, 55, 54, 53, 52, 51, 50.
Okay, you're good.
Boom. Let's do it. The feed is coming. Guys, where's the feed coming from? It is coming from the Team Queso studio in Spain. And it's being sent out to casters all around the world. We're in English, French, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, Japanese. I know Kensu Meshi, I believe, is the Japanese caster. So we are all over the place, guys.
That's a player in a stream that I wish I could understand. He's just so entertaining. Such a good guy, Rich. I don't know if you talked to him at World Finals, but I really like Kent. He's a good guy.
I tried to talk to the Japanese teams a bit at World Finals. Wasn't the easiest thing in the world, but I did remember after watching them watching Fav during the or back at that time Ponos. Well, I talked to Fav when he was on Fav in both seasons for World Finals at in LA. But
yeah.
I've always loved, whether it be Ponos or Fav, I've always had a really soft spot for the Japanese teams. They seem like they have a lot of fun.
Yeah, they definitely know how to have fun with the game and enjoy it. Ken Smith's YouTube channel, even if you don't understand it, I highly recommend going there. There's just so much energy there, so much passion. It's just a good time.
There's a lot of those high energy guys, right? Like you look, I spent so much time watching Spanish streams because of how fun Koji and Manu are as a pair. I don't speak a lick of Spanish at all, but those two guys are like their energy is so crazy and infectious that I've certainly dipped in and watched half an hour just to laugh at all their antics.
Yeah, but speaking of crazy and exciting, this match right here, there is a ton going on for being with 20 seconds into the regular match. Not even overtime yet. There was just so much down on the field there, Rich. And I'm amazed that both players come out kind of unscathed.
Yeah, shockingly doing pretty okay. 1831 on the bottom right-hand tower of Lapo. Remember, this is an elimination match for Lapo. If Matea wins this one, Lapo is out, and Matea moves on. So the stakes here for Lapacati very, very high compared to his opponent, who's running the Cannon Cart Graveyard, Cannon Cart Mortar. Up, of course, against Royal Giant. Fairly quick cycle Royal Giant. There's the rarely seen Musketeer.
Yeah, both sides having the Musketeer actually. Something that I was going to comment on is something that I like to see. I think Musketeer is one of those really good cards. It's not a bad card to have as a broken card, right? It's super solid, but there's a lot of good counters to it, and there's a lot of ways to play it around it, and everyone kind of knows how it works. So when Musketeer is really good in the meta, I think it's a good meta personally.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to figure out how to I'll do this during the break. I'm trying to figure out how to add a mod on Twitch, because Twitch is light on the moderators right now. We'll get that one sorted out. We'll get that one sorted out in just a moment here. And wow, lots of pressure on the left-hand side. Mateo putting Lapo up against a wall right now.
Yeah, Mateo is just in complete control of this match. Every time that Lapo goes with an RG, he's just ready with that mortar and is counter-pushing with double the amount of troops with the Cannon Cart Musketeer combo. He's just playing really solid.
And here we go. Pressure on the left-hand lane. Fishboy does pull the Knight all the way in. Might fireball here to get on the Musketeer. Decides not to, instead just to let that push do as it will.
Yeah, and just so much pressure there, Rich. As soon as he went more at the bridge, he followed up immediately with a Graveyard. Not afraid of any RG pushes in the opposite lane, just trying to take the tower as soon as he can. I don't think it'll work in his favor though, Rich. This is a big RG push. Although Lapo not getting the amount of damage he wants, RG opposite lane may be able to connect. He doesn't have enough elixir for mortar here, so this could be a little scary.
Yeah, RG doing a lot of work on the right-hand side. Gonna get that right-hand tower down to 10-10. Still the lead is for Mateo at this stage.
I believe that RG had gotten a hit there. It would have kind of swung in Lapo's favor. I'm not sure what the exact damage of an RG is, but that was a very close game in the end there. Mateo, though, moving on, Lapo eliminated here. Kind of a surprise.
I believe that damage is more than the 270 or 269 that we saw there, so ooh boy, Lapo out, and Mateo moves on over Lapacati. So certainly Lapo had a big uphill climb here, but Mateo continuing to have a very impressive tournament.
Yeah, Mateo is someone that I've really enjoyed seeing. He's not a name that I even heard of before this tournament, but he's just come in and done very, very well. I think he won the European region, and obviously now taking out Lapo, he made it through the first round, and now the second round of losers, technically, I guess, because he had the double elimination. So, Mateo, exciting player to watch.
Great work, great work. We should have some replays here in just a moment. Hold on, give me a moment, guys. I'm just going to, Mance, if you'd move back over to Twitch, just going to go ahead and get a mod over there on Twitch. Usually Twitch chat is so well behaved during these events, but usually it's YouTube that's the problem. But I guess today Twitch be popping off a bit. There we go. Let me go ahead and find you in here and get ourselves modded up on that side. And wait, how do I? You know what's so funny? I stream on Twitch so rarely.
Yep.
That I don't actually know how to add someone as a mod on Twitch.
You just type in /mod and then space and then their name, and it should do it on its own pretty much.
I thought there was a little I thought there was a quick button I could do there.
Oh no, you could do that as well. Yeah, you just click on someone's name, and then I think it comes up with a little option menu. You should have a moderator button there, but I always just do the commands.
There we go. Hey, we have a couple over there on Twitch now finally. So there you go. Let's see. Over on the Get Rid of EQ, Clash Royale Esports in the chat has spoken. Wait a second. Clash Royale Esports said, no, they said GG. They just said GG. They didn't say Get Rid of Earthquake. Hey.
Yeah, that is reading into it quite a bit there.
Yeah, it's extrapolating GG all the way there. I appreciate it. Papa Zombie, shout out to Rich Satan and the sunglasses. Yeah, you know what? We are getting fairly deep through this one, so we should. Let's see. Let's go ahead and take a look. I think we're going to take a look at some replays here. And there you go. The best jawline in Clash Royale. Bale going to walk us through a couple of replays here in just a moment.
I'm curious to see what they pull up here. They've had some really good insight so far. I don't obviously hear them, but I really like the way they showed so far. The match is very, very important moments.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool. It's nice little replay system. You know who did a great job with replays was the CRL East broadcasts. They had a great job with having sort of a telestrator in there, which maybe they'll give us a chance to use the pen and pencil the digital pencil this time around.
I always thought those were so funny. They would just circle some stuff was like really spot on, right? They really knew what they were doing, but some stuff seemed a little bit random. I don't know. It looks like they're gonna show this push here where Matea messed up with the knight. The knight just gets taken out immediately, and then the Mega Knight jumps on the Zappies here. It jumps on the middle one, I believe, so it takes out all of the Zappies, which is just kind of crucial against Matea. And that's gonna be the 3 crown there. So that was just a huge push.
Huge push. And speaking of X's and O's, there we saw it. The nice little red circle coming out. So a little flex there from the production booth. And at one push, and that's how you know that something crazy happened, is one push changed everything. Spanish stream. Here's the link for the Spanish stream for those of you guys on YouTube. Let's go and take a look at this second replay here.
It looks like this is the messed up rocket that Lapo had. Lapo wanted to get as much value as possible here. He only had Knight and Ice Wizard, I believe, in this deck. He probably had Tornado as well, but the Rocket not being able to hit the Goblin Giant there, or the Goblin Brawler rather, got like 4 hits on the tower. I believe it took it down to like 1,400, which was just way too big of a damage deficit against Spell Cycle, obviously, or with Spell Cycle. Spell Cycle is a deck that you don't want to take any damage with, and you want to kind of stack up and double and triple elixir, but if you take that much damage in single elixir, it's basically a done deal, Rich.
Yeah, done deal indeed. Let's go ahead and jump into our bracket look one more time, and as you can see, moving along, Matea over Lapo. So now we have one more of this early pair. Crap versus Stang Sand. And again, it's going to be AC's job to win 2 BO5s over Stang Sand in order to move on and face Matea in our next round. And then at that point, we'll be back to just regular. It's a BO5. No mischief, no mayhem, no craziness as we go on from that point forward. But for now, it's going to be AC needing to win 2 BO5s over Stang Sand if he does want to move on. Stang Sand, of course, had a great run in the Latin American region.
Yeah, Stang Sand was another player that I hadn't heard of coming into this tournament, but he played very well. I believe he got 2nd place, and then obviously he won the first round, I believe, of the... Did he win the first round? Yes, he beat Sorab 3-2 in the first round of the World Finals here. So, someone I'm really looking forward to see. Obviously, Crap on the other side, a good friend of mine. It'll be interesting to see what he pulls out in this best of 5.
Here we go, jumping into our first game, AC and Stang Sand. And arrows for Crap, an immediate Royal Giant at the bridge. Stang Sand wasted no time here, quickly cycling a ton and then RGing aggressively.
Yeah, it looks like AC, or Stang Sand rather, is playing this cycle RG deck that we saw Wallace had so much success with in the beginning set against... Who was that against again? Hold on, let me check. That was against KK. He got a lot of RGs there, double RGs in most games. So it's cool to see this deck played again. Crap though, most likely with Graveyard here, arrows are going to get a ton of value against those bats, and that E-Wiz if he times it correctly with a Graveyard push.
RG down on the right-hand side one more time. Cannon Cart in response. And that's going to be a big connection here. It does not pull the Cannon Cart all the way across the bridge, though.
Yeah, I really like what AC decided to do there, though. He could have played Bomb Tower against that Royal Giant, but decides rather to go with the counter push play. It's a bit of a risky play. It took him a lot of damage onto his tower, but it's a play that just keeps the pressure. It makes Stang Sand use a little bit more elixir on defense, and it's the aggressive option, Rich. So I like that he did that.
Send up the Hunter on the right-hand side is Stang Sand. Brazil certainly has a robust Clash Royale scene, and no better way to illustrate that than taking a look at who made it from the Latin American region here. Of course, Samuel Basoto, Wallace, Stang Sand, all 3 qualifiers from LATAM repping the green and yellow.
Yeah, Brazil is just always super solid with Clash. Obviously, you have Lucas as well. They had Wen back when he was really good in Red and Kava, and CRL, of course. So just a super, super solid country when it comes to Clash. A lot of community excitement as well there.
Cannon Cart to the right-hand side. 15:28 remaining. Log plus Fireball. We'll stick the Cannon Cart deep in opposing territory, and that's a good trade there for Stang Sand. 6 on 5, but tons of tower damage and keeping the Cannon Cart out of the mix.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, though, to see if he goes RG into this Cannon Cart here. I don't think he will, because that Cannon Cart just kind of acts as another defense, making it so he won't have to use Bomb Tower. Maybe now opting to play another counter push. That was not English, but... Crap. Arrows coming out here soon, maybe?
Yeah, just choosing to let the Bats do their work, maybe worried more about defending against this RG than anything else. Sets up the bomb tower. Bats get right on past and do get onto the cannon cart, but I think the cannon cart will survive, and here we go. Opportunity maybe for a bit of a counter push. The Electro Spirit, perfect Electro Spirit out of Stang Sand.
That was just extremely clean, Rich. That's a play where normally most players would just fireball or take things out the easy route, but Stang Sand, recognizing that E-Wiz log or E-Spirit log could take out the whole push there. Just a really, really solid play. Saving 1 elixir, but definitely the right play there.
Final minute 42 remaining, and so far it has been all Stang Sand. Akrap trying to change the story. Threatens left-hand lane. Draws out 5 elixir here, so that actually ends up working out nicely. And now going to go ahead and double down on the back end. Fireball plus E-Spirit does most of the work, but Arrows going to get a not insignificant, at least force out of elixir on that left-hand side. And well defended here by Stang Sand. So cheap, so fast he gets around here.
Yeah, Stang Sand is just in complete control of this match here. This cycle is just super, super fast, and it seems like whatever RG has, Stang Sand just has a perfect answer here. And I really like that RG there. The cannon is going to go down, and the RG will slow down a little bit, taking out the cannon there. Hunter at the bridge. AC will most likely fireball all of this, but still, he's not going to be able to get any counter push value. These Bats are just taking everything out here, and that's an RG hit as well.
Wow.
So.
Wow, one more RG hat will go ahead and get it done. Royal Giant to the right-hand side, too. Bats in support, and just barely picked up by the cannon card. It does feel like this is the end for AC here in game number 1. RG gets 1 hit. Log RG doesn't matter. That right-hand side gets done. Stang Sand takes game number 1.
Yeah, Stang Sand just playing super solid. I can't think of any real misplays there. Just very, very solid defense. The Hunter in the opposite lane to catch that one graveyard push that Alcrop tried to push opposite lane with. Other than that, I think he was just in complete control that entire time.
Let's see. Brian Wang asking me, Rich, why AC become a caster? Is he not going to compete in CRL? Because being a caster is pretty cool. So there you go. That's why AC's coming. He's also going to be really good at it. So AC's been wanting to be a caster for a long time. If you guys have been following, if you guys ever watch me outside of CRL, Akrap joined me for some Super League broadcasts out of the Super League studio in LA for a couple of times. Came to my house to cast one of these previous tournament like this one. I think it might have been No Tilt Worlds or No Tilt League Special Edition or something like that. So yeah, AC, very excited to have him as a caster. But consider this. He'll keep on playing, obviously. But this feels kind of like AC's maybe his pro retirement tour to a certain degree. And if he can get a few wins here, what a way to go out if he could get a big piece of that prize pool. Already has taken some home.
I think this is kind of AC's last hurrah when it comes to competitive. Obviously, he's a very competitive person, a very competitive guy. He'll definitely be playing on his own, doing some GCs here and there, but I think casting is really where he wants to be for this next year, as well as doing college and other stuff. Yeah,
no, it's going to be fun to have him there, and of course having Eric Benamu in as well. And of course casting with you is a blast and getting some of that extra insight. Mo in the YouTube chat saying they should remove Pump from the game. Pump's a controversial one. Pump is one of the main reasons why Three Musketeers was viable in a lot of ways, and killing Pump certainly hurt Three Musketeers. What do you think about Pump specifically, though? It's such a weird card in the game overall.
I mean, I just think it's so fun, right? You look at the addition to Triple Elixir into the game, it just made things that much more exciting. Elixir Pump was kind of a subsidiary for that for a little while. It was just, this card where you didn't see it very often, but in games that it took place, they were just that much more exciting, that much more crazy, especially in the latter portions of the game. So I really like Elixir Pump personally.
Let's go ahead and jump into game number 2. Stang Sand with the lead at the moment, up 1 over AC. And you talk about accolades. Of course, we've mentioned Akrap's for many, many times, but of course, the part of the only ever North American Championships for CRL in that lone 2018 season, and of course, a repeat regional championship in the spring of 2020 with Space Station for that CRL West sort of shortened special season. By the way, been around the game for a very long time.
Yeah, it looks like we'll have Lava Hound here from Akrap. I think that we've seen from him a little bit. Royal Hogs, though, I think this is the first time we've seen it today. It was very popular yesterday. I don't know if you were watching that. I assume you were, but definitely got a lot of wins there, and it's a super solid deck in the meta. Stang Sand, maybe just going with a bit of a comfort deck here.
Well, up 1, why not? Stang Sand, of course, very talented, longtime competitive player. Played in All-Stars for Brazil back in this last 2020 year. Does have some top-tier ladder finishes. 9th, I believe, is his best overall on Global Ladder. And, of course, anytime you crack the top 10, that's a pretty impressive result no matter what.
Yeah, no, top 10 is not easy. I was only able to do that once. That was back in 2016. Obviously, the game was in a very different environment back then, but, you know, it's a big achievement.
You know, talking about big achievements, Hazard, and the number of times that Stangsan has qualified for, he's never been an invited player for these Revel Run tournaments. You know, the Moreno Cup, Cabrera Cup, but he has qualified for and made it deep in these multiple times. Got 4th overall in the Moreno Cup 4, the I Stay Home Cup, made it very deep. I think he ended up getting maybe 2nd in the I Stay Home Cup. The guy consistently performs very, very well and does it through open qualifiers.
Yeah, and I think that'll probably change soon. He's definitely been getting his name out there a lot more recently. Super solid player. I think everyone can kind of see that. He's playing against Akrab right now. He was no slouch on his own. He's a very good player as well. And he's kind of been in control of this match so far in particular. So, yeah, Stangsan just a good player. But big arrow value there from Akrab. That was nice.
Pigs in, EQ working on the cage. These ones will do a little bit of damage, but now a big counter push opportunity for the American. Will get the Hunter off the board without getting any damage to those support troops. Miner goes in to the spears. And a good protection of the Hunter against that flying machine using the skeletons.
Yeah, I really like how Stangsan defended that, though. It's very easy to just play Hunter on top of the Lava Hound, right? It's what you would think is the main threat, but no, it is actually the support troops that are the big threat. He plays a perfect Road Delivery Hunter combo. It takes up the Skeleton Dragons in one fell swoop. Makes sure that Lava Hound, it does get to the tower, but it almost does no damage. So really, really well played there by Stangsan. Although this one, I think it'll be a little bit harder to defend.
A little kite there with the skeletons, but a lot on the board using the spears to kite some more. He's going to take a lot of damage here from this Lava Hound alone. Hunter does cycle back to work against some of those supporting troop skeletons to protect the Hunter, but this feels like it might be AC to take the tower.
Yeah, I don't see AC being able to not take the tower there. I kind of messed things up there a little bit. Stangsan not being able to defend there. Just too much pressure from AC. AC built up really well. Took some damage when he needed to against Stangsan's Royal Hogs and just built the biggest push he could. Really, really well played there.
Yeah, that was a really, really nicely put play, especially after how well you saw the defense come out the first time around from Stangsan. So all tied up 1-1. And AC so far showing some pretty decent deck variants throughout this tournament. And that's one thing he's known for, obviously. I think one of the hard parts about preparing for AC, you know, people might say, he'll even say, that his mechanical skills aren't at the best they've ever been. You know, he was talking about this in stream last night with his CRL caster announcement stream. That part of it is just the grind of being a pro is so hard. To be at that world-class level, the hours you have to put in to be there are so hard. But even in the, let's call it the twilight of his competitive career, he's relatively unpredictable, which can make him a difficult out.
Yeah, I mean, you look at his best finish on ladder of all time. It was with 3 Musketeers, which was not a deck that he was relatively known for at the time before that season. So AC is always switching things up. He's one of the most creative players as well. I don't know if you've seen some of his GC streams, but he's always coming up with these new weird decks, like Golem Balloon, which is a deck that I copied from him, and I really liked it. So just a super, super creative player, and definitely has a lot of cards mastered.
Yeah, he's certainly one of those guys who... again, there's a level of experience where you can't replace that level of experience, right? You can build on it, but that level of experience, that level of knowledge, there are certain things that you just know, right? Like let's talk about this stream right here. You're not playing competitively at the pace that you have in the past, but there's an understanding of the game that you really can't make up for, that you can't take away from somebody. You can't replace that.
Yeah, I mean, he's just been around for so long. We all have, right? And it's just been playing constantly for the most part for all those years. Experience is a big thing. You know, you can learn from textbook. Not that there's like Clash Royale textbooks that I know of, but it just doesn't replace the experience of getting out there and playing tournaments for so long.
Yeah, I mean, again, you talk about the time learned. There's certain mechanics that really don't change. Certain mechanics that have adapted a little bit, but. Understanding, and you know, the micro might adjust a little bit over time as some cards are rebalanced or new cards are added. But I think that one of the things that people overlook maybe a lot with some of the level of experience is the understanding of the macro, right? As we're talking a lot of these matchups, how important understanding how to play a matchup, not just how to play the cards, is so critical.
Yeah, and I really like that you brought up balance changes there. It's something that kind of plagued a lot of Clash Royale players with their careers, right? The players who were playing from day one, they knew all of the balance changes, right? Like, you can ask someone like Allcrap, like, what's his favorite meta, what's his favorite balance change? He could probably tell you, right? But a lot of these newer players that would come up with like 1 or 2 decks, as soon as that deck gets nerfed, you don't really know where you stand, and it's kind of hard to adjust. With these players with a lot of experience, they don't have that problem. They just know ins and outs of all of the game and all the different variants of these cards.
So big opening salvo here from AC. The fireball on the barbs opening up a massive lane on the left-hand side, and Lava Hound versus RG, currently AC in the lead.
Yeah, AC with this Lava Hound or this RG cycle deck that we've seen so much of today. It's had so much success. I don't think it's lost a single game yet, Rich.
Yeah, it's been, I mean, except for the game, I think, oh, because it played a almost mirror match, but beat the slower cycling RG. That's right.
Yeah.
And Fishboy slides on through, adds a bit more to that. Damage tally on the left-hand side. So we have Bats, Hunter, Electro Spirit, and Fireball for AC. How does that fare, you think, against this Lava Hound deck overall?
I think it'll be all right. He'll be able to cycle Hunters very easily for the most part, especially in Double Elixir. Fireball, it takes up the Flying Machine, which is the biggest pest in this Lava Hound deck overall. And I think AC will just be able to keep the pressure. He won't RG here because Stangsan obviously has those Barbarians ready to go, but still, just as Hunter enough is going to apply a lot of pressure, forcing out the Skeleton Dragons there, which will provide no counter push value at all. So AC definitely has the advantage here.
And the nice thing there is it does, you know, it does allow him to save the Fireball for other targets, whether it's a Barbs here that he might not need it for, or whether it's going to be the Flying Machine. Chooses to go ahead and eat this Barbs and see if he can get a shot. Does not get the shot off, but the Hunter will counterplay. But being able to take care of those Skeleton Dragons with other methods is going to be very valuable for him as time goes on.
Yeah, I really like the patience there from Allcrap. I would have probably fireballed those barbs once the big push comes down, but he waited for that Flying Machine to come out from Stangsand, which is able to get everything down. He will be able to cycle to another fireball as well for his counter push, though, so I think AC's definitely in control here.
RG down at the bridge. Bats will work on the Skelly Dragons as they are distracted by the Royal Giant. The arrows come out in reply. So far, AC holding on defense. Stangsand setting up for his next push, cycling Minion in the back, Mega Minion in the back as we go into the final 2 minutes. Double Elixir and sudden death. Let's go.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird situation here, though, Rich. I don't think either player has gotten any damage in the last minute of play. AC just defending super solidly, saving his fireballs for the right moments, taking out the right troops with it, and Stangsand maybe getting 1 or 2 minor hits here and there, but definitely not enough to even things out. This might just go to a tiebreaker here.
So AC still here opting not to Royal Giant. Do you think at this point maybe he switches to a primarily defensive mode of play? I mean, he's been playing the RGs, I guess, primarily for pressure with this lead, but you see there not choosing to throw the Royal Giant down.
Yeah, I think he can go with either route. I think he's got enough of an advantage where as long as he doesn't give Stangsand that big of a counter push, he will be able to defend almost everything here. Fireball there, taking the Flying Machine. Not that big of a problem for AC, though. He will be able to cycle back to another Fireball for the Skeleton Dragons, as well as another Hunter here for the Lava Hound. So AC just in complete control here, playing it safe for the most part, but still applying enough pressure where he needs to.
Arrows come in. Miner goes to the tower and not to the Hunter. So you see the oops come out from Stangsand. Intended to get the Hunter out of play. Didn't happen. Here we go. Triple Elixir final minute. And AC sets up his next Hunter. Stangsand currently behind by about 700 HP.
Yep, AC there, just making sure he'll be able to take the tiebreaker no matter what. Going for a few logs on the tower. But I don't think it'll be that big of a problem either way. 30 seconds remaining. Does not have Fireball and Cycle, but he will be able to cycle back pretty shortly. Skeletons and Electro Spirit, then Fireball will come out. Flying Machine, though, could be a bit of a problem. He should have another Hunter, but it's getting a little close, Rich.
Good use of the Bats to distract on that Flying Machine, and the Fish Boy does come out and keep the Flying Machine distracted. Here we go. Final few seconds. It does not feel like there's enough quick damage to come in, although those Skeleton Dragons could change the mathematics. That not quite there. Man, I couldn't see the HP on the tower because of the miner. Not quite there. AC takes game number 3 and is 1 away from forcing a second best of 5.
Yeah, the damage was kind of hidden there at the end. It made things a little bit stressful, but AC, just super solid defense throughout. Got a little bit close at the end. I believe it was about 400 HP differentiating the towers there, but still AC knew that he wasn't in trouble. GG, well played to him. And he is 1 win away from evening up the set count.
Yeah, and that's where things get crazy, right? We have not yet seen someone send us to a second best of 5 yet. The A player has beaten the B player every time, so AC with a chance to be the first one who does it. And of course, if he does win this one, he'd move on to face Matea in our next round of the lower bracket, of the elimination bracket, which will happen here today. But so far, it's been all the favorite the whole way through.
Yeah, the favorites have been on top. I don't know if it's a psychological thing or what it ends up being, but AC pushing against the grain so far. Lost the first match, was something we've seen pretty often in these games so far, but able to come back 2-1. It'll be interesting to see what he plays in the next match.
Unsightly Swordfish saying, you can tell AC ate a balanced breakfast this morning. I'll tell you, I had oatmeal with a little bit of cinnamon and a dash of honey. That was my breakfast this morning. Hazard, do you eat breakfast?
I did have something today. I normally don't eat a lot. I just had a banana this morning. Nice healthy snack, not too much, but it was definitely pretty good.
Guys, I see someone's annoyed that I missed a highlighted message. I'm not really reading the Twitch chat much at all. So, if you're over on the Twitch chat, very sorry that I'm not really reading Twitch chat, but we're in game for the they were showing the trophy here, but then I went away. We're in game on YouTube, so I'm primarily over there. But Aura Wolfgang asking if do you, Hazard, miss Royal as a pro player?
Royal was one of the most fun players to watch. He always ran these Golem Bomber decks, something you didn't see from anyone else at the time, but he played them perfectly, and he was just a very, very funny guy in person as well. So yeah, I miss Royal. Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, I guess I would say that the one player I remember I reference this fairly often was I don't give Golem much credit for outplayability, but it was during the 3M Royal Hogs portion of the 2018 meta, and Royal played an aggressive Golem, I think, at the bridge during single, which seems crazy. But then Royal Hogs went opposite lane, and he played Fire Spirits on the Royal Hogs, and you were like, oh, that's an actual mental game outplay that we just saw with a Golem deck. And of course, he went on to win that one, and Immortals went on to win the North American Championship.
Yeah, Royal was just so solid. I think the only set he lost in 1v1 was actually against Guanek. I don't know if that's the correct stat, but I remember Guanek won the first set against Royal in the first match of CRL, and then after that, Royal just started dominating.
Yeah, he got pretty. And people forget that that Immortals started off really weak in that North American season. They were switching up their 2v2. It wasn't AC and RF. They didn't really have a place for Ouya at the moment. Immortals did not look great when that NA season started, but once they started clicking, they became super dominant.
Yeah, Akrab, obviously a super solid player. He wasn't as known at the time as a dominant player as he has been recently, but he was still very, very good. And Royal in the 1v1 slot was just obviously very consistent, winning most, if not all of his sets after the Guanek game.
Log cycle to the right-hand side, so RG for AC, of course, Pigs for Stang Sand. Bans are Tornado and Graveyard for those of you who are just joining right now. This is a ban on first loss event, meaning that once you take an L, then you can give a global ban card, meaning neither player can play it for the remainder of that best of 5 set. So since both players have lost, we do have 2 bans, Tornado and Graveyard not available.
Yep, and AC switching things up a little bit here, putting the Ewiz in for the bats. I wonder what led to that decision. I think it'll probably pay off though. Ewiz is very good against Royal Hogs, and especially against Spear Goblins this matchup, so maybe be able to build a bit of a bigger push with that Ewiz.
RG to the right-hand side, Hunter behind. Skeletons get taken out by the Hunter. Delivery does not take the Hunter down, so RG will connect 2026 to 1478. 3-1 split. I really like that 3-1 split in this situation.
Yeah, 3-1 split there. Definitely something you don't see very often. It's kind of a rare situation where it ends up working out, but that was pretty well played. You got a little bit of damage in the left lane. Royal Hogs is a weird deck, Rich, because Earthquake is something that obviously only attacks one tower, right? But Royal Hogs has the ability to go both lanes at the same time, so it's kind of weird how you juggle that, especially in this matchup.
Yeah, all 4 in on the right-hand side this time. And now a big counter push developing. RG won't get much from it, but a second RG back in cycle for AC.
Yeah, we're going to see a Royal Delivery coming out here, but this is going to be a lot of damage for AC, maybe 3 or 4 hits. Good fireball there, set the Hunter back a little bit and get the RG one more hit. Really, really well played. Should be see a Royal Hogs here coming out in tow, but AC ready with the Hunter immediately. Those are going to get almost no damage.
So here we go, sudden death overtime, and fighting from behind is the American against Stangsan. 766 to 1084 sets up Royal Giant one more time. If you're Stangsan, what's the gameplay here?
I think at a certain point you have to stop going Royal Hogs because it's just a positive elixir trade every single time for AC. You just have to like cut your loss a little bit, start Earthquake cycling. As bad as it sounds, I think that's the way to play here. Earthquake is just that guaranteed damage, and it will be enough for him to take the game if he does do it often enough. But Stangsan, though, is still defending fairly well there. No RG hits and no counter push for AC, really, at least until his Hunter dies.
Do you think that's why he was 3-1 to the left-hand side, to try to get just a little chip with the pigs but force out some defense on that left-hand lane?
Yeah, I think it might have been. The one pig on the right lane did not get a hit, unfortunately, for Stangsan, but I don't know. Earthquake and Royal Hogs are coming out from Stangsan. Not going to be really what he wants here. He's not going to have enough elixir to defend properly, and AC will even things out.
First player on the day to force a second BO5. So far it has been the player with the advantage who has won the best of 5 and sent the other player home, but AC able to battle through. So now again, for those of you who are just joining us, a strange set of rules today because we are in a 12-person double elimination bracket. AC was knocked out during the first round of the winner's bracket, as you can see in the top left-hand corner of your screen. Stangsan was knocked out in the second round by Mugi in a 3-0. So Stangsan, the benefit for him was he had a best of 5 to give. So that doesn't decide it here. AC now has to win a second BO5 against Stangsan, but this one will decide who moves forward to face Matea in the second round of this elimination bracket.
Yeah, and with things being reset here, Stangsan might be a little bit behind on the momentum set. It'll be interesting to see how he mentally resets for this match. Obviously, he lost one round in the losers bracket to get here at all. But AC felt very confident there. He's being very aggressive. Even the first match that he lost, he was just like piling on the pressure over and over and over again, not afraid to take some damage to give a little bit more to Stangsan.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think a big part of that one overall is that for AC, I think he probably feels like he has nothing to lose yet. Now, if he gets close up to the point where he's actually playing where, hey, next win gets me, $5,000, I think that's where maybe we'll see the pressure feel for AC. But, this is a veteran who's been around for a long time. I doubt he's feeling much stress in these matchups, whereas Stangsan probably is feeling a bit more stress than he is.
Yeah, I think you're completely right there. Stangsan still is trying to get his name out there, go into CRL, that sort of thing. AC, though, already kind of has the next year set up, right? He's going to be a CRL caster. He's doing school. He's doing all this other stuff. This is kind of his last draw, just show what he's got. And when it's like that, you obviously want to put on a good performance, which he's done already. But still, it feels a little bit less stressful.
Or Wolfgang saying in Twitch chat, just want to say thanks to Rich and Hazard casting this. I enjoy it so much. And P.S. I miss Hazard doing YouTube. Well, don't worry. His breakfast-only YouTube channel is coming soon. And thank you, Bro, for rating with your party of 9. Do really appreciate that. So here's the hard part, right? You think about AC's journey today. And we've seen so far, they're the only player who's made it to this point of the 4 players who had this opportunity. AC now has to win this best of 5 against the same player one more time, and then one more. So that's potentially 15 games to play in one day.
Yeah.
How do you prepare the deck pool for that?
I mean, I think with AC, it's going to be a lot of Team Royale, right? Team Royale is just a solid deck pool. There's a lot of good stuff on there, and it's what a lot of players turn to. Also, clan chat is something that a lot of players use all the time. You often see players get inspired, like Lapo played a lot of spells like that Igor played. This RG deck has made its way through a few players' rotations so far. So clan chat, honestly, players kind of just play what they feel most of the time. So,
well, looking like Cannon Cart Graveyard on both sides here, different variations, of course. And that Cannon Cart going to slide in deep, and it does connect for Stangsan despite the arrows.
That Hunter was just phenomenal from Stangsan. He played that immediately once the Mega Minion came down, and it one-shot at a perfect place in there, allowing the Cannon Cart to get to the tower, forcing the archers from All Crop as well, which is basically his main graveyard counter here. So if Stangsan is able to get back to another Knight graveyard, he may go in for a counter push in the opposite lane, or even same lane.
Mortar aggressive and high. Cannon Cart immediately in response. Cannon Cart defending here for Stangsan. First minute 15 away, and the Brazilian does have the lead, 2006 to 23-56. Bomb tower sets up for AC.
Yeah, AC still haven't used so much elixir to defend this cannon cart. Cannon cart is just so solid, right? It does so much damage, kind of like that Musketeer, but it has that little extra life, that kind of double life, where you can't just spell it out with a Fireball Zap like you can with Musketeer.
Stang Sand takes that lead that Awcrap had and evens it up with the 2 elixir expenditure on the Spear Goblins. So here we go, 15 seconds away from double elixir time. You know, the question here, we get into playing defense as time goes on, right? You know, Stang Sand, his primary method of getting to those archers is the Fireball and -1 trade. But same thing for AC. His primary method of getting to the Spear Goblins is the -1 trade, and Stang Sand has the Hunter. What do you think about this matchup as we get in deep as far as the defense goes?
I think it'll probably end up being in Stang Sand's favor because he's got that mortar. That mortar just provides so much extra pressure. He always has to be wary of that. And then while he mortars, maybe he can get a big enough push, especially in Triple Elixir, where he can grave it as well. Saw that a little bit in previous matches today, where people were playing so aggressive, going with mortar and graveyard simultaneously. I think we saw that Stang Sand actually against an RG deck from Awcrap in the previous set. Cannon Cart will live here, so AC or Stang Sand will go with the graveyard. Not gonna be able to cross the bridge though. That's a bit too aggressive for Stang Sand, I think.
Fireball does come in, take care of the archer. Stang Sand gets a nice lead out of it, 15-66, but was that juice worth the squeeze here? Cannon Cart behind the Hunter on the right-hand side, behind the Knight on the right-hand side, might be able to get in. Spears get taken out by the arrows. Cannon Cart obviously not the #1 defense against Graveyard. Fireball comes in, but still Stang Sand does survive it. And yes, the Fireball a half step early on the Barbarian.
Yeah, if that had gotten the Barbarian as well as the Cannon Cart, that Cannon Cart may have locked on the tower there from AC, or forced out a Knight in the very least from Stang Sand, which would have given him a big elixir buff for this next graveyard push. Just applying that pressure is so important in these kind of matchups. Stang Sand, though, applying some pressure of his own, going with another mortar, forcing out the arrows. Arrows will connect with the tower for a little bit of chip damage, but not enough for AC to even think about coming back in this game so far.
About 80 seconds left, 1394 to 2091. And again, the game has been this bridge fight, as it so often is, especially in Graveyard. So far, controlling the mortars fairly well is AC, but the lead continues to build for the Brazilian.
Yeah, big Fireball there, making sure the Cannon Cart will not get anywhere from Stang Sand. I think if AC has any chances of winning this game, he'll have to get a Cannon Cart on tower somehow, or maybe Cannon Cart just across the river, so that Stang Sand will have to spend a lot of elixir defending it. Big Fireball there, though, from AC. Will be able to take out most of this push from Stang Sand. Arrows as well. Get a nice little bit of damage on the tower, but definitely AC's going to need a little bit more than that.
And to remind everyone, why are they playing a second time? It's because to make this 12-player elimination bracket, double elimination bracket work, they had to give an advantage to players somehow who won in the first round of the bracket, but lost in the second. So AC lost in the first. Oh, and that activates King Tower there at the end. Not going to be exactly what he wanted with 25 seconds left, and this feels like it might be the end in game number 1.
Yeah, I think AC there, he's just going for some sort of prediction. Most players will often play Spear Goblins behind their King Tower in that sort of situation. Maybe just going for a wild prediction, but either way, I think that game was going to go in Stang Sand's favor. Not much AC could do there, and that was just well played.
GG, well played. Game number 1 goes to Stang Sand, and we're going to go on to game number 2. Again, this one will decide who moves forward. And in just a second, guys, I'll give you guys the breakdown of why they are playing one more time. And here, let me go ahead and link the bracket in the chat, and I'll send that bracket over to the Twitch side as well. Let me go ahead and copy that one. So I send it to the Twitch chat as well. But again, why are they playing a second time? And Nightbot showing up. Thank you, Mance Raider, for helping out with that one. Here's why they're playing a second time. Because it's a 12-person elimination bracket, double elimination bracket. So the players who lost in the first round of the winner's bracket, those four players went down into the lower bracket. The players who lost in the second round, that winner's bracket, they also went and dropped down, but you have to find some way to give an advantage to players who had advanced versus not advanced. So the method they came up with was that in this first round of the elimination bracket, the players who had advanced in the winner's bracket still had a match to give. So there you go. Stang Sand gets a second best of 5, and now looking like he might capitalize on it.
Yeah, but AC, though, looks like he's returning to the Lava Hound deck. Sticking with the same sort of deck pool that he played in the first set. Maybe he's playing Royal Hogs, but it will most likely beat Lava Hound. And then Stang Sand, probably with a Balloon Giant Skeleton. You might go with Balloon immediately here. Oh no, Royal Hogs, pressure up line. It's good play there. Make sure that Stangsan can't just go super aggressive right off the bat. Maybe playing a little bit scared, but definitely a good play overall.
So, I guess I can't send that much text into the YouTube chat, but I'll try to find a way to send. I'll send this in pieces here, and this will give a textual explanation to what's going on for those of you who are trying to figure it out. Let me go ahead and send this in multiple pieces, and I send it over to Twitch. So instead of me having to explain it verbally, here you go. This will explain what's happening. This is the only time this will happen today, folks. But it is how they made this 12-player double elimination bracket work. Let's see. Making something nerf? Not sure. Balloon doesn't connect. Just barely gets that balloon drop on the right-hand side. 12:34 remaining as Stangsan takes a nice lead here.
Yeah, that was pretty much as close as it could get there, Rich. The balloon just with a sliver of HP as it dropped onto that tower. AC defended very well considering how much elixir he had with that giant skeleton having already crossed the river, but still, AC with a big damage deficit so far in this match.
12:34 to 18:72. Final minute in a double elixir here, and AC splitting Zappies, 2 to the left, 1 to the right. Bats cycled early, and they get a little bit of protection here for that balloon. Enough time for that miner to get on the Zappy.
Yeah, although I don't believe this will be any death damage for Stangsan. Still got some minor damage in there. Take out the Zappy and got the snowball hit in there, which honestly is not that bad considering how little damage he has other than this balloon. So he will be trying to get as much death damage as possible. The Zappy should shut things down pretty quickly, but still, AC not being able to go very aggressive so far.
Does have 6 recruits on the board plus a flying machine. We'll see what Stangsan does on the left-hand side. Defends that. And this is a big push on the right the second that that giant skeleton comes out. Hunter will reply, but that's going to be a lot of damage putting this thing fairly close.
Yeah, and I think that kind of sequence there is what AC is going to keep trying to do for the rest of this match. Just play enough defense to get royal recruits down in front of everything, make a big split lane push, and as soon as Stangsan commits with a big defense in one lane, like a giant skeleton or a hunter or a fisherman, he's going to go royal hogs opposite lane and try to get as much damage as he can.
You know, the interesting X factor here, Hazard, is that the Zappies, of course, do a great job shutting down a balloon. And Stangsan doesn't really have any excellent response to the Zappies directly. It seems like it's hard for him to deal with them when they're played deep.
Yeah, sure. All he really has is minor snowball, which, you know, it's going to take minor like 6 or 7 hits to be able to take out all the Zappies in company with that snowball. So it's definitely not enough damage. And by that point, AC's flying machine or whatever it may be will have already taken the balloon. So Stangsan just trying to build up enough with these supporting troops, giant skeleton, hunter, miner on tower, to try to get as much damage as possible. Looks like he will actually get a little bit of bad damage on there, which is kind of surprising given how much troops were around that tower. But still, AC, I believe he'll be able to come back with a royal hogs here sometime.
Electro Spirit just got absorbed on the right-hand side. Final minute, triple elixir, Stangsan with the lead. Giant skeleton on the right-hand side with the hunter in support. Fisherman starts to work on that left-hand side defensively. And AC just trying to switch the conversation a little bit. Not going to get a ton of damage, but this flying machine not being addressed by the hunter until very, very late, and still protected by the recruits.
Yeah, that flying machine is just impossible to take out for Stangsan, but still, it's the same kind of situation with the bats from AC. AC has nothing to do against offensive bats unless he gets a nice Electro Spirit up in here, but I don't think he'll be able to do so. Nice hog push there from AC, though. We'll get a little bit of damage, but I don't think it'll be enough to even things out, and it looks like Stangsan will end up taking this game after all.
And here, aggressive cycle to the left-hand side. AC doing everything he can to get back in this one. Going to defend well on the right, so the question is how much damage can he get here? Going to have to Fireball to try to make some extra room. Fireball in, Flying Machine, does it get on tower? No, it goes on the Hunter, and that's going to be a GG, well played. Stangsan takes game number 2 and now has match point.
Yeah, that was very close there. I think AC was playing a little bit too passively towards the end. He stopped every single giant skeleton at the river, which is normally what you want to do in these balloon matchups, right? But he had cage as well. So I think if he had let the giant skeleton cross the river, get the tower in there as well from extra defense, and then build a bit of a bigger push, he could have been able to break through a little bit more effectively. Just take a little bit of risk for a little bit of reward, but didn't end up working out for AC, and Stangsan goes up 2-0.
Yep, 2-0. So and that's the advantage you get from winning in that first round of the winners bracket. And it's proving to be a pretty big one, right? I mean, you win one best of 5, you feel pretty darn good. That second one, though, that cushion where you have 6 games that you have to be beat 6 times over 10 games potentially to end up being knocked out. The lack of pressure has to be very, very nice for Stang San, and we see the benefit here.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think AC is going to bring in for the next match? I mean, this Royal Hogs deck was something that we hadn't seen from him up until now, and it didn't seem to work out very well. Stang San's been very solid with a lot of different decks. He might go back for Lava Hound. I don't know. That's
what I was thinking too. Was that AC maybe goes Lava Hound here? Stang San has played a few decks that do run well against Lava Hound, but I do think that Lava Hound is a good one for AC to play here. Although potentially, with this potentially being his last true competitive match, I wouldn't be shocked for him to go with something completely crazy.
Yeah, it would be kind of weird to end your competitive career with a Lava Hound deck, but I don't know. I don't think AC's thinking that seriously about this. He's obviously taking it very seriously, but I don't think he's seeing this as his big end-of-career gameplay. I think he's just going for a solid deck choice, and it might actually be Lava Hound here.
Yeah, Flying Machine. Cage. Barb Barrel.
Could also be the same deck we just saw, though, with the Royal Hogs. It looks like it will be Royal Hogs once again, and I think this is a great matchup for AC. Recruits are very, very good against RG, just because they're super hard to defend, or they're super hard to kill, right? You Fireball log them, and then Zappies and Cage are just going to kill your RG, while also you're having to defend the opposite lane push. So this will be a pretty good match for AC. I think he'll be able to take full advantage of this.
Does cycle fairly quickly for Stang Sand. First minute 10 away. And that's going to be... Oh, the Fireball does not also get the Brawl.
Ooh, that was a nice interaction from AC there. Taking out the Electro Spirit with that Barb Barrel and also tanking for the Goblin Brawler a little bit. Making sure that Stang San will have no counter push. Just those nice micro interactions that look really clean on the arena.
It does feel like this is going to be difficult for the Fisherman to find its place in this game. And so you see Fisherman just being cycled and not really being played from a technical standpoint.
Yeah, Fisherman is not going to get any value here. The most it'll ever get is like a Recruit or 2, or maybe even a Goblin Brawler if it gets lucky. But once he starts playing Royal Giants at the bridge, AC will just be able to steamroll in both lanes with these Recruits. They're just so solid against it.
And this time the nice value there with the Fireball against the Brawler and Flying Machine, and AC drops 9, now make it 10, but back to 9 again. 9 units in a heartbeat with those Recruits and Zappies behind.
Yeah, although that didn't work out as well for AC as he probably would have hoped. The Bats were able to take out everything very efficiently in the opposite lane. AC, once again, not having Snowball, he's got Fireball and Royal Hogs in the last cards. And Stang San, I don't know if you saw, but the Electro Spirit hit absolutely everything there. I think it hit all the Zappies, all the Recruits, and the tower, so it was just super cool to look at.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things about Electro Spirit. Electro Spirit it seems like a pretty cool addition overall to the game, and creating some more, cycle opportunities, which is pretty fun as well.
Yeah, I agree as well completely, though. AC maybe not having as much fun as he would have thought with this matchup here. Zappies have not been that much of a boon for him on defense, and Stang San is just playing super solid, defending perfectly against almost anything, only taking about 700 damage total.
So here we go. Sudden death overtime. Does Stang San 3-0 the rematch and move on to the next round, where we will have a completely non-CRL experience matchup to send someone further and closer to that grand prize? Ooh. Or can AC get the comeback here?
Yeah, AC's Barb Barrels, I don't know if you've seen them, but they've been so solid. Catching, I think, 2 or 3 of Stang San's Electro Spirits at the river, which is not something you see very often, especially at this level of play. Zappy's getting a ton of damage because of that interaction. AC, though, he's still down so much.
Yeah, down a ton, and you feel good when you get a good Barb Barrel or Log, and you time that well on Electro Spirit these days, or at one point Heal Spirit, and that actually worked against Stang San with the Fisherman pulling the Recruit in, and that Electro Spirit only getting 1 target. And now AC has a decent amount on board, probably won't turn into much here, but might set up his next bit of offense.
Yeah, Stang San doesn't have Fireball and Cycle here, so AC will get a little bit of damage in the opposite lane, but it's definitely not going to be enough for him to be able to come back and get that damage advantage. Big RG push in the opposite lane Fisherman as well coming in, so this might be a few hits. It might be GG, actually.
Wow, that is 3-0 for Stang Sand, and that is it for Aw Crap. Don't weep too much, guys. He'll be joining myself and Andrew and Eric Benamou in the CRL Casters booth for this 2021 year. But you can shed some brief tears as I guess we say sayonara to AC's competitive career.
Yep, and unfortunately with that, I think, Rich, I have to get going as well. You're going to have to say sayonara for me for today. Anyways, I don't know.
Well, let me see. Hey, maybe I can get AC to jump in and and get a little practice in before our CRL kicks off. Guys, big thanks to Hazard, of course, for joining. We only had him for a bit of the time, but we only have 2 more matches left. There's his Twitch link in the chat. If you don't already follow him, go ahead and follow him now. And, dude, it's so much fun hanging. We still have to do that. We have to figure out how to do that chess stream. I think it'll be a whole lot of fun. And yeah, thanks. Anything else for the viewers before we head out?
No, it's just been a lot of fun. Casting is definitely not something I have the most experience with. Maybe taking things a little bit too seriously, like choking on my words a little bit, but I've definitely enjoyed myself a lot, especially with you, Rich, as well as the chat, as always. So yeah, hope you guys have a good rest of the matches, and I will be watching from elsewhere. So yeah, thanks, Rich.
All right, hey, thanks a lot. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, bye, Rich.
Bye. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to see if I can get AC to come join us, but for now, let's go ahead and take a look at the replay work here from Bale. And I'm going to be a little bit quiet here as I see if he's willing or interested in coming and joining in the casting booth here for a little bit. Let me go ahead and text AC as you do see some of the replay work on the right-hand side. And let's see this. Yeah, hold on. Give me one. I'll let you guys watch this replay as I go ahead and text him. See if he's interested. He might be too tired from all the work today. Certainly had a bit of an early rise for the Californian. And let me see. Want to join the cast? He might not want to. But I'll go ahead and ask him. I wrote to join twice in the email or in the text there. When does CRL 2021 start? Well, HK, it's already started. Of course, with that top 1,000 of light. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the replay action here. So this is the Graveyard versus Graveyard matchup. And Hazard has a much better memory for these things that I do. So I'm not exactly sure which play this one is. Oh, this is okay, though, where he cycled all the way back around. This was the attempted king, and look at that. Wow. Absolutely right. Was going for the prediction arrows on the spear goblins. Maybe expecting them to be closer to King Tower. Instead, they go right in the middle there. And boom, the arrows come in just a half step early. Oh, and I don't even know, is Cashman around? Someone said invite Cashman. Let me go ahead and text him and see if he's around as well. Because I would love to have Cashman come and join for a little bit with us. So I'll go ahead and send a few messages out, see what we can pick up. I don't know if Cashman is sleeping right now, but maybe he is. But man, yeah, just as Hazard pointed out, it was an attempted prediction there, and those arrows came through just a little bit too early and didn't get it. Let's see. How does CRL work? Like, I finished top 1K, but what happens? Then they message you, and then you get invited to the next stage, et cetera, et cetera. And then you play in that 1,000-person tournament. Let's see. I'm down for, yeah, cash would be fun. We'll see if AC comes in. Happy to grab any of these guys and have them come and join for the cast for a little bit as we go to our final 2 matches of the day. We'll see if they'll be available. Oh, let's see. AC not available today, but tomorrow. Okay, cool. We'll get AC in here tomorrow to join for the grand finals. That will be really, really fun. So we will have a co-caster tomorrow. I'm going to see if Cashman is available. Not sure if he's around and all. But, of course, we do have 2 more best of 5s today. As you just saw, there's the bracket in the chat. Stang Sand versus Matea and Wallace versus Igor. Timeline when Michifu is playing. Guys, these are our final 2 matches for the day. And then we will have Michifu versus Mini Minter tomorrow, as well as Samuel Basoto versus Mugi. So we're going to get ourselves down to our top 6 today. The winner of Stang Sand versus Matea will move on, and the winner of Wallace versus Igor will move on. And then we'll be back to our top 6, which will be all tomorrow. Let's see. Ashraf, say what happened to Andrew. Nothing. Andrew and I will be casting CRL together alongside AC and Eric Benamou. EB7 for this season of CRL. So Andrews, this is just a community tournament. This isn't CRL. Andrews totally fine. He's actually on the road between California and Oregon right now. So going to go up and enjoy the beautiful greenery of Oregon. I don't know what Oregon's called as a state, right? Like, there's the you have the Sunshine State, you have the Lone Star State. I don't know what Oregon's state name is. Does anybody know Oregon's state name? That'd be fun to have that in there. Talking about Brazil being the best, and that's what's crazy. Look at the top 6 here, or the current top 8 in this matchup. 3 of the top 8 Brazilians, and that's all 3 from the Latin American region. Samuel Basoto, Stang San, and Wallace. 3 Brazilians currently all the way into our top 8 for the moment. Igor, of course, coming out of Russia. Matea, for the Serb from Serbia. Michifu, the Spaniard. Mini Minter, the Peruvian American. And Mugi from Japan. But Brazil is all over this top 8, and has a really good chance at maybe taking control of a significant portion of that prize pool. Google says it's the Beaver State, says Blake Costello. Okay, interesting. Hopefully makes Andrew feel good to see people asking about him. Yeah. Where are them shades from? Fletcher, check out the chat. Gooders. Goodr. There's a link in the chat for you if you want them. I love them. I'm a big fan. That's why I wear them all the time. I just like wearing shades in general. Yeah, no, I have too many pairs here. In fact, if we're getting, actually, we might as well go ahead and switch things up. Boom. Throw on the whites. Let's go. There we go. Now that we're getting into our final 2 matches of the day. Throw on the whites. Where's Lapo from? Lapo is from Belarus. And guys, as long as we're waiting for our next matchup, couple things. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm here for you guys. If you have any questions about anything at all, how to cook eggs correctly, I'm your man. Disc golf tips, I'm your guy. The LSAT, I actually taught the LSAT in classroom for 7 years. Had over 2,000 students come through my classrooms over the years. So let's get it going. But we will have our next matchup here in just a minute. How many pairs? I mean, sitting here next to me, 6, and I have a few more in boxes. Dude, I'm just going. Apparently you Jewish? That's right. My whole life, in fact. Let's go ahead and jump into game number 1, Matea and Stinksan. And guys, I'm going to go on mute here for just a moment. Mrs. Slayton brought me some tacos. I know I'm a burrito guy. She brought me some tacos, though, because I have not eaten lunch at all. So I'm going to go ahead and take a couple bites here as we start off Matea versus Stangsan. Let's go. Boom, taco number 1 down. Ate that real quick for you guys so I can jump back in here and get it going. Wait a second, the link wasn't for my sunglasses? Oh, there's the sunglasses link. There you go. Lava Hound for Stang Sand. It should be GY here for Matea. Sparky Zappies are a weird piece for a graveyard deck, but there you go. Musketeer, not as popular as Hunter in the meta, obviously, but in this version of Graveyard, you understand why. The opportunity for the Graveyard to tank for the Musketeer rather than the other way around. You don't quite get that same value out of a Hunter. And that miner goes right to the Musk. Baby Dragon should clean up most of this and gets right back around a cage, but Matea having to spend like crazy to keep up with the pressure right now from the Brazilian. Bar Barrel forced out to pick up that flying machine. And you see a little bit more in the collector of Matea, but 7 Elixir comes out for the Lava Hound versus 4 for the Muskie. So slight Elixir lead right now for the Brazilian. And that cage very, very well timed and well placed. Gives protection to both the Musketeer and picks up that Lava Hound. So smart play here from Matea. He's having so much trouble getting to the flying machine, though. Now he will get it. 2 baby dragons down. Graveyard should be incoming. I bet he pulls the trigger here. Here we go. We are in sudden death overtime. Not going to poison here, I don't believe. He does poison. I guess he had enough of a bridge, enough at the bridge here not to worry about that counter push. So poison comes in, and look at that Musketeer still alive. Second Muskie down. Do not know how Stang San survives this one here. 2 Muskies down. Not getting on tower, and very, very well controlled by Stang San, but another graveyard push comes in. Matea's pressure is absolutely insane right now. Not going to poison this time around, going to slow things down a bit and just take his elixir advantage, does the Serb. Sets up Musketeer low. Lava Hound now set up one more time. So despite how much it's felt like Matea's been in the lead, not in the lead by a ton. Knight goes to the wrong side of the Muskie, so the Knight somehow gets in between. I thought the Knight was on the wrong side of the Muskie. 2 Musketeers down. And the Flying Machine just cannot get to the Musketeer. Miner's been the only real way for Stang San so far. Final 34 seconds. And this is going to be really difficult for Stang San. Has to go with Miners and Arrows on offense. Plays the Arrows on defense. He really can't Lava here and get much of anything. Has to just play Miner at this point, and he's too far behind. Way too far behind. Not going to get this one back. Miner going to go to the Musketeer, try to stop the bleeding, but not really sure what the value is going to be there. Matea going to take the first game. Both of these guys, open qualifier players, both of them putting on a show here. Matea takes game number 1. GG, well played. Now has the advantage. Stang San does have the option to ban here. Mad Evil asking, how'd you find yourself joining the casters for Clash Royale? If you go to Rosé's YouTube channel, there's actually a whole video that where Rosé interviewed me, and actually, I'll go ahead and link that one for you now in the chat. But there's a whole interview where Rosé interviewed me, and we talked about my entire professional journey, including the full long story of how I became the caster for CRL. Am I from Israel? No. Ani lo Israel. Speak a little bit of Hebrew, but I'm from California. I live in Texas now, but I'm from California. Let's see. That was there you go. And there's the link for you if you guys want to see the full interview with Rosé and the whole story about how I became a caster for CRL. It's in the link that I just sent to you guys. Let's see. Let me look at the chat here for a moment. Great to see Europe. Yeah, Europe, not EU winning. Yeah, Europe. Yeah, it's so funny because like EU is European Union, but also EU is like a really excellent abbreviation for Europe. So it's like, which is why I guess probably why they were like, hey, European Union, Europe. You know what I'm going to like. So it does make it very strange. Surgical Wizard. I think that it has lots of potential, and I think that just I don't like the race portion of it, but I do like the overall format of it, and especially I like duels a whole lot. So I did not like the original version. I didn't like the original. I think this version has more potential. Just the time issue is the real challenge. Here we go into game number 2. Matea in the lead. Stang San needs to fight from behind. When is Mugi's match? Mugi's match will be tomorrow in our grand final. Today we're gonna choose our 2 semifinalists. Our first 2 semifinalists in the lower bracket, elimination bracket. Today we will round out our top 6 with this match and the next one. And then once we have our top 6, tomorrow we will play through those final matchups. Mortar GY for Stang San, Lava Hound for Matea. These are all best of 5s. Guys, Ayush asking the best ways to get gold. And so is Ariel. the best ways for gold, actually Clan Wars 2 is a lot of the gold in the game moved into Clan Wars 2. So even if you don't like a lot of things about Clan Wars 2 or think that your clan's not going to win, playing your Clan Wars 2 battles is one of the best ways to get gold. The actual value you get back from it is kind of insane. So if you're trying to get gold, play your Clan Wars 2 fights. Other thing is, I always recommend everybody, best value in the game is the Pass Royale. You know, some people do or don't want to get it, but it's amazing value in the game, and you get the Pass Royale, you get all those get to replay the challenges. You can get such an insane amount of gold from that. So to spend no money, just make sure you play your Clan Wars 2 battles, and if you want to spend a little bit, Pass Royale, or if you're good enough to win Grand Challenges or get like even more than 8 wins, Grand Challenges are actually the other best, the real best bang for your buck, dependent on your skill set. Cannon cart down. 17-17 right-hand side. Barbs go high against the cannon cart. Good fireball in from Stang San. Gonna get those spears. They go onto the brawler, though, and not onto tower. But still lead right now for Stang San. Mortar to the right-hand side. Miner picks up the mortar aggro. Fireball, going to take a bit to get back in cycle. Cycling hard to get to it is Stang Sand. Gets to another Hunter instead. And well defended without Fireball, which he does want for this next flying machine. And there you go. Mortar all over tower. Well thought out by Stang Sand. You know, we were talking earlier with Hazard about the idea of the macro and how important that is. But that... we saw right there a great example of it, where Stang Sand could have played the Fireball defensively, knew he didn't have to, and that its value would come out more against that flying machine to get mortar connections. Goes to the inside here. And now the question is, what does Stang Sand do about the flying machine here? Arrows come in, has to mortar low to pick up the brawler and the flying machine. Hunter high right now. Matea poking and prodding. Hasn't quite found his way through, and that's a good bar barrel. Check out that bar barrel out of Stang Sand. Knew the Knight would go back to the Miner, so put the bar barrel in front to pick up the Mega Minion aggro. Smart play there out of Stang Sand. And now he sets up one more time, finally goes to go Graveyard again. Here in Triple Elixir, Fireball takes care of the Barbs, and that's the better target here. As the Knight gets one shot, doesn't get a second. Graveyard getting that right-hand tower very low. Hunter still alive. Hunter might get absorbed here. 25 seconds left, and 2 flying machines down. This is kind of a nasty situation. Only gets one of the 2 flying machines, and right now, Matea with a good chance of pressuring. Cannot get the Fireball cycle in for Stang Sand. So Stang Sand basically has to play defense here for 10 seconds and not totally worry about offense. Looks like he will get it done. Cycles very, very well here. Flying Machine trying to steal, can't get it done, and we're going to be evened up 1-1. GG, well played. So let's go ahead and take a look. Should I cut Famine? Yeah, I agree with that one. Let's take a look at the chat here for a moment. Yeah, it's definitely harder to win a classic challenge than it was years ago. You know, one thing is the game still has a lot of players in it, but casuals have diminished more, and the percentage of players who are more hardcore versus casual has shifted as the player base has gotten a little bit smaller. And so now, yeah, your grand challenges are super grand challenges, and classic challenges are like grand challenges in some ways in terms of the competitiveness. You know, we'll see how that evolves as 2021 goes on, but yeah, we'll see. Maybe people find themselves in classic challenges, grand challenges more in 2021. I think global tourneys are mathematically the best way to spend gems. Yeah, if you do Kanishka get the entire win. If you do win the entire Grand Challenge or do the global tournament and get all of the rewards, then yeah, that's a very good bang for your buck as well there. So, good point. Let's see. Yeah, you're saying, Rich, I play Clan War daily. 1 win and 1,000 gold is insane. Yeah, it's a really... If you're trying to build your gold, dude, do your Clan Wars battles. Do your Clan Wars battles for sure. Let's see. They need to change classic challenges to randomize matchups. Once you get 6 or 7 wins, it's too tough. I don't know if I agree with that one. Could you not get AC to cast? No, AC's going to join us tomorrow. He's busy for the rest of the day, so AC will be joining us tomorrow for the grand finals. So just for these last 2 matches, it's going to be you guys and me, and that's it. Going to be us, a small little gathering of, a couple, about 1,100 plus whatever's on Twitch, another 200 there, 800, 182. So just a few of us friends hanging out, talking Clash Royale here, as we are tied up 1-1 in this loser leaves town matchup. Hazard did have to head out, but there you go. There's Hazard's Twitch link, and Stang San going Graveyard one more time. And an interesting deck here from Matea. Miner, Musketeer, Arrows, and Minions. Minions is a card that you do not see very much. There was a time when Minions were pretty strong, often overshadowed by Mega Minion, but there were a lot of decks where you'd see Minions in there sometimes. Looking like it's a Miner Wall Breakers variant with Mega Knight. And Prince going to put that MK on roller skates here. How often do you see a Prince versus Prince matchup? So it's going to be Giant Skeleton or Graveyard double Prince out of Stang Sand. And that Mega Knight going to get 1 swing. Prince gets picked up by the... Oh, gets a couple swings there. Wow. This is absolutely devastating for Stang Sand. Going to be a full-on Wall Breakers connection. Snowball doesn't do enough. And Stang Sand in a world of hurt here. And just a little slowdown after all that. That's a good placement. That's a great placement of Zappies if you're trying to catch Miner. Make sure you take note of that one. There are 3 popular spots. The number 1 spot, the outside corner, the outside high corner, the safe spot as they call it. The number 2 spot, which is directly behind in line with the red carpet. And the number 3 spot, which is the high inside corner. And that placement of Zappies covers 2 of the 3 spots. So that's a really, really good choice. And probably in general, unless you're trying to game a placement, probably the best spot for Zappies in relationship to picking up Miners. Down to 135 here. Stang Sand trying to hold on. He could Graveyard here and... he's not going to have enough time. That's a GG. I was thinking maybe he could Graveyard in time and take the tower so that they go into sudden death overtime. But even Graveyard Poison won't be quite fast enough. Matea going to win game number 2 and now have the advantage and match point. Did Mini Minter show up in the chat? Is that what's... I saw someone do the Hail Mini Minter there, but not seeing him. Well, we will see Mini Minter tomorrow. And again, there's the bracket for you guys in the chat for those of you guys who do want to see it. Yeah, tomorrow's matchups. Tomorrow, we have Michifu versus Mini Minter, Samuel Basoto against Mugi, then the winner of this matchup against either Wallace or Igor. So it's going to be absolutely crazy. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Ivaral, how are you? Wait, are there... Oh, yeah, there we go. Mods doing their job over there on Twitch. Happy to see it. Let's see. Take a look at the chat here for a moment. Oh, someone said Mini will win. Okay, cool. Yeah, tomorrow, I'm really excited for Samuel and Mugi. That's a crazy one. I mean, all those. Mini Minter and Michifu, obviously, is going to be exciting. But man, Moogie and Samuel's going to be really, really, really great. I'm super pumped for that one. And again, we're going to see how far it goes. Who do I think will win the whole thing? Thanks for casting, by the way. Kanishka, it's hard to bet against Moogie, but I think that I can my top three are all in the winners bracket, right? Moogie, Michi, and Samuel. It's hard to bet against that though. Wait, what is happening over on? Well, Twitch can do its thing. Let's see. Moogie's gonna snipe him with Hog Triple Spell, maybe. Let's go ahead and jump into game number 4. Reminder: Matea does have the match point here. Hunter and Miner are the bans. EQ on the left-hand side. Borglavic saying, I'm Morton fan. Many people are, including myself. Tomorrow, what time? Tomorrow we start at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern for the top 6. And to decide 3 of those 6 will get part of that grand prize. I believe it's, I'm going to go ahead and double check the rules here. Here's the rules in the chat, by the way. Let me go ahead and check the rules to remind myself of the grand prize pool. But it's, of course, pretty nutty. First place gets 15,000 euros. Second place gets 7,500 euros. And third place gets 3,500 euros. So there you go. A lot of money on the line here. So Stang San going with some pretty classic graveyard. Giant Skeleton to the right-hand side. This deck was really popular earlier in the tournament. The first week or so of the tournament, Giant Skeleton Royal Giant EQ was everywhere. And then sort of fell out of favor the last week or so. Very interesting that how within weeks the meta will adjust even without balance changes. RG to the right-hand side, EQ running roughshod. That tower's in a whole lot of trouble. Stang San's advantage. Dripping away here a little bit, despite having NATO, Ice Wiz, and Goblin Cage. Royal Giant getting pushed back by that. Wow, the Barb Barrel. What an interesting interaction there if you guys watch that. I wonder if they'll highlight that in a replay. The Barb Barrel turning the Giant Skeleton around and pushing the Royal Giant back away from tower. Little Nimbus, thanks for the $5 super chat. Shout outs to the channel. Giant Skeleton to the right-hand side, Graveyard to the left-hand lane. Graveyard taking the lead and extending it a little bit here. Tower down. Whoa, tower way down. Those last few skeletons putting a lot of hurt in. NATO pulls all this back. Cage not going to be enough, though. I think Matea wins this one here. Royal Giant connects one time. Second shot in. Third shot going to come in here. Wow. Absolute wow. Stang San falls 3-1 to Matea, who will move on. And we will not have a Brazilian 1-2-3. That much at least guaranteed. Stang San, great performance overall, but Matea comes out on top, and he will play the winner of Wallace and Igor tomorrow during our top 6. Wow, what a matchup. What a matchup indeed. And let's see, I think we are going to get the CRL stuff into the commands. That'd be cool over there on Twitch so that those people can have it. Let's see, Venkatesh asking, Rich, what's coming to your channel after Bren Chong Cup? You're casting CRL. I am casting CRL. Obviously not, most of it is not on this channel. Like the main top 8 is on the Clash Royale esports channel, but some CRL content will be here. And you see Matea will be awaiting the loser of Michi versus Mini. So remember, Michifu, Mini Mentor, Samuel, and Mugi all still have a loss to give. So the loser of those matchups will drop down. Mugi is playing tomorrow, for everyone asking. Michifu versus Mini Mentor will be tomorrow. Mugi versus Samuel will be tomorrow. And then, of course, Matea awaiting his future opponent, and Wallace and Igor. So again, I made a mistake there. Matea is not playing the winner of Wallace and Igor, and now I'm seeing that I made that mistake there in the bracket. Matea will play the loser, I believe, of Mini Mentor versus Michifu, and the winner of Wallace and Igor will play the loser of Mugi and Samuel Basoto. So either way, we're going to get a bunch of fire matches tomorrow, when, of course, AC will be joining us on the cast as well. Will be a ton of fun. Who's my favorite CR player to watch? I mean, in terms of live, I love watching Lapacati play live, like live in studio. Lapo is very fun. Hold on, got a call. There you go. I believe little tickle in the throat here. I ran out of water a while. I need to go get myself some more water, and all I have is coffee to wet my whistle. Yeah, the Mini Mentor Michifu beef rises again. Maybe. That'll be a fun one tomorrow to watch. I'm very excited for that one. A great matchup between two really talented players. A little tickle in the throat there. Does the player from the loser bracket have to beat the player from the loser bracket twice again? No, he does not. That was only Lord Gogara to deal with the fact that we had 12 players in. We will not be seeing rematches tomorrow until we get to the grand final, because the way the bracket works, the winner of the winner's bracket will face the winner of the elimination bracket, and then if the elimination bracket wins, then they replay. So we'll only see that at most one time tomorrow in the grand final. So it is what it is. CM saying this royale to win 2BO5s is so skewed. Yeah, it was just, how do you make a 12-person double elimination bracket? That's how they figured it out. A one-game advantage would be much fairer. Interesting. That's an interesting thought, that you come in 1-0 in a best of 5. I don't hate that one. Wall Street bet on Wallace. Not a bad one. Let's go ahead, jump into the final match of the day. Wallace facing off against Igor. And this is a good battle, of course. Igor was the belle of the ball in 2019 when he came in just in time for CRL World Finals, not able to play during the regular season for Team Liquid despite being on the roster, but made it for World Finals, and of course came out, swept King of the Hill, and then won a very nice 1v1 in their match against SK Gaming against Javi. Went 5-1 in his debut at CRL World Finals. Wallace is a guy who's been great outside of CRL for a long time, and then of course this year, 2020, that fall was a great fall for Wallace. Played great in CRL, had an amazing World Final, carried Pain Gaming past Nova Esports with 7 wins alone in that one matchup. And then, of course, following that up with winning the All-Stars Cup. Wallace currently on a great run, and a win over Igor here would help add to that one. If he can place in the money here, would be phenomenal. Why is the live stream of the finals so early? Because we're dealing with now all different regions. That's the issue now, is that before we were dealing with different regions, and they had their own timelines, but now that we have the entire world in the same event, we have to adjust the time for that. mortar high, picks up the wall breakers last second, and does get one shot off on the tower. So pretty close right now, 2170 to 2054. What a zap. Miner to go into the back. The Goblin Gang does pick it up, but Fireball gonna have to mortar here late to pick up these wall breakers. Log does come out instead. Igor's defense there was absolutely brilliant. It really felt like there were 3 connections about to happen back to back to back. But this is why Igor is one of the best mortar. It's one of the best mortar bait players of all time, maybe the best one. People have their different opinions on who is the best mortar bait player of all time, but Igor certainly in that conversation. And defensively, he is brilliant with this deck. Wall breakers split this time for Wallace, meaning he should get one. No, the right one still goes to the mortar. The mortar stays alive. And we're separated by 8 HP right now, folks. Tio Rio probably is the best mortar bait player alive, says right so says on his stream title. Does it say best mortar bait player alive or probably best mortar bait player alive? Look at this, zap out of. Oh, and one bat does sneak through. That's a huge bat for Wallace. Massive, tiny little bat. That is what? That's half an elixir, or a fourth of an elixir, right? What's 2 elixir divided by 5? Is that a fourth of an elixir? Yeah, that's right. Does so much damage, absolutely insane. The value of one bat escaping like that. So far, Zap has been critical for Wallace in this matchup. Very close, 1191 to 1126. Wallace going to choose to, just go with the bats against the Miner, not worry about a pickup there. Does have to control this mortar, decides to do it with a Musketeer. This is a brilliant, brilliant matchup with these two. Miner to go into the outside back corner. Final 8 seconds here. Wallace needs to get some damage on tower here or he's going to be out right now. And there you go. Brilliantly played by Igor. GG, game number 1. Goes to the former world champion. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Let's see. Gonna keep sending money so you can get me a ticket to Texas. About a Greyhound? Go Greyhound, right? Let's see. Not to get off topic, do you think the bomber should leave a bomb when killed? I think so. I think it'd be cool. Be an interesting change. I don't know. We talked about that with Hazard a bit, and we don't know if it's going to, if it would affect the card very much, but maybe. Cold, you bring up your, if you want to take the chat off of your stream, there's a button. If you're watching this on your YouTube app, there's a button for that. So I don't know how to describe where the button is, but you can turn off live chat. Let's go take a look at the matchup here from this one. And only 7 of 8 and not much sample size here. But there you go. There's the data as it stands. Yes, and this is an elimination match, guys. Winner moves on, and loser is out. So there you have it. Right now, Igor with the advantage. And Reddy saying Wallace is a macro player, Igor is a micro. That's an interesting way to put it. Wallace does have very good understanding of the macro, but Igor just manages things so well. And that's a big part of why Igor has been so good with mortar bait, specifically. Is because of how much mortar bait is about managing that macro. So really, really good at that part of the game is the Russian. And you look at guys like Igor, guys like Lapo, those guys who do play a lot of mortar bait, that's specifically what they're good at, is managing those micro interactions. Igor is the best mortar bait player, and Lapo confirmed it in the stream. Okay. Is this the last match of the day? Yes, it is. We are in our final match of the day. We will have our top 6 at the end of this, and then we will come back tomorrow for the top 6. Where is Ruben? He was eliminated earlier in the tournament. So there you go. And of course, if you do want to follow along, the Appgrade app does have all your results, schedules, things like that. There is a link in the chat. Let's go ahead and jump into game number 2. Wallace with the advantage. And guys, as long as you're here, please do go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like this video. All easy ways for you to help and support the Clash Royale competitive scene. It looks like Wallace might be taking a page from Igor's book. Let's see. And also looks like Wallace choosing not to ban here. Oh, interesting. Is this going to be Balloon from Igor? And just minor wall breakers again for Wallace, choosing to go back with it again. Looking like could be 6 Loon from Igor. Hisham, I do know that story. I just wasn't bringing it up. But yes, Grieco is not 16. So he wasn't able to, once they got to the finals, that's when they were like, hey, let's just make sure, let's check everyone's IDs because there's money involved. Because of it's a legal issue. And not 16, so not able to continue along. And Igor going to just eat the wall breaker damage here to make up that elixir difference. And splits the wall breakers 3-3. Omotayo, no, KK replaced him. But he did take someone's spot in the first part of the trailer. That's right. Good point there. Balloon does not connect on the left-hand side. Musketeer, good adjustment here. Musketeer and Bats. And Wallace gets a big connection on the right-hand side. Oh, I might have said wall breakers. I meant recruits or 6-man. Sorry, guys, you cast along. You say the wrong thing occasionally. Three to the left, 3 to the right. Inferno Dragon supporting the left-hand side to go right into that Mega Knight. And the Bats, though, protecting that Mega Knight very well. Snowball pushes the Musketeer to the opposite lane, and the Bats do not put that Balloon in Muskie range. So Balloon does connect. Mega Knight working like crazy on the left. Pressure on the right-hand side. Igor in a lot of trouble here, and the wall breaker does connect down to 309. Muskie going heavy on the left-hand side. Igor now goes in full-on Lumberloon push on the right. Does push the Musketeer away, but the Bats put the Balloon back into Muskie range. Death damage in, Bandit dashes, and we're all tied up. GG, well played. The snowballs from Igor were on point, but the Bats from Wallace were even better to make sure that that Balloon went back towards the Musketeer. Man, overall, that was really good. That snowball, not GG, though. The snowball didn't push it out of range. Oh, there was a visual bug. Yeah, there was a visual bug there, guys. It happens. Why using snowball and Musketeer instead of Bats? It's interesting. That's an interesting point. It's an interesting question. I think he was kind of caught on a rock in a hard place, right? Maybe hoping he could distract the Bats with a troop, and knew he had no other way to really get to the Musketeer, and wanted to get the Musketeer out of the way and try to contend with the Bats in a different methodology. But, who knows? Who knows what his choices were? A rough one for him, though. And now we're all tied up here. And again, tomorrow we will have AC joining us for the grand finals. What was Wallace's ban? I believe he didn't ban. I'm getting a word from League Ops. He chose to save the ban and not actually play it. So, you know what? We're going to keep the same. I'm saying we'll do a fun change tomorrow. What makes Igor so special in playing off-meta decks? I wouldn't really say 6 Loon is an off-meta deck. It's like a previous meta deck. It's not very popular right now. But Igor doesn't really play a ton of off-meta decks. He maybe makes a change here or there. Igor will play off-meta like he'll turn a deck into a much faster cycle deck. But yeah, I wouldn't say he plays off-meta specifically. He kind of plays some old meta decks. So is banning the card not necessary? You're not compelled to. You can save your ban. Yeah, 6 Loom was everywhere a while back. Looks like Igor going back to his basics in game number 3. Wallace going Cannon Cart Graveyard. Bats, Spears, Hunter, all great responses for the Graveyard from Igor. And keep an eye on Igor's Hunter placement for those of you who are playing Hunters and facing lots of Graveyards. Igor's going to place that Hunter on the inside corner when he does defend Graveyards with it. So this time choosing to play high on the Cannon Cart, but doesn't get the Cannon Cart down in time. Oh my word. Cycle not where he wanted it to be maybe, and ends up with a really, really bad interaction. Wallace taking a huge lead early on. Had to go Hunter high and play the Spears low, which just opened up a world of hurt. Now goes Mortar to the left-hand side. Bomb Tower in response. And Log doesn't touch the Cannon Cart on the left-hand side, so you might see Wallace go left lane with a Graveyard here. Decides to poison the right and let the Cannon Cart go to work on that left. Miner to support the Bats, picked up by the Knight, but now Mortar really high means no, the Cannon Cart gets down just in time, but great protection. Igor had one big mistake, and I think it might have been a cycle issue that gave up all that damage early in the match. Playing sharp since then. Wallace, though, certainly ahead at the moment. Knight to control high. That's a great Miner. What a great Miner out of Igor to pull the Knight out of Mortar range. He goes Miner high. It pulls the Knight away from the connection with the Mortar. Man, a great play here. It doesn't matter. It's going to be a win here for Wallace, and this is such an amazing matchup between these two. That Miner, I hope that if we do replays, they pull that up, because that Miner was really, really cool out of Igor pulling the Knight away and letting that Mortar retarget. Just too far behind at that point after the really brutal open there, where Wallace just completely chunked that tower down to start off the match. Man, that Miner pull was cool. Just too late at that stage. Can I explain bans one more time? So here's how the bans work, guys. This is a best of 5 matchup. The system is called ban on first loss. So once you lose a game, you have the option to ban a card, and that ban can be played by neither player for the remainder of that best of 5. You do not have to play that have to choose a ban, but you get the option to. You can choose to save the ban and go for and exercise your ban later in the matchup. But man, that was pretty cool here. So yeah, Wallace chose not to ban in his first game. We'll see if Igor chooses a ban. Or maybe Igor chose not to ban. I don't remember what our ban situation is now. Actually, want to see your setup? You can see it you can see it reflected in the shades, dude. I've posted pictures of it before online. There might be one on Insta, but I know I've posted it on Twitter in the past. Ban on first loss, yeah. Once you lose a game in a best of 5 or best of 3, oh, Igor banned NATO. Then you can ban a card that means neither player can play it for the rest of the match. That's how it goes. Thank you, Dragon, for your support. I do really appreciate you enjoying me as a caster. I love hearing all the nice stuff. It is very nice. Is it a BO5? Yes, it is BO5, so we're not done yet. NATO was the ban. Yeah, there we go. What are they using to play? I'm assuming phones. That's my guess. Here we go. Game number 4. Wallace with match point. A win here for Wallace would send Igor home. Can you make members so we can join? Yeah, I should do that. I meant to do it for finals and I forgot to. Actually, I meant to do a lot of things for finals and forgot to. Oops. So, is Igor just doing it again? Igor's doing it again. And like I said earlier today, guys, you cannot spell Igor without EGO. I don't know the point he's trying to prove. Maybe just trying to service his fans. Maybe trying to prove that he truly is the best mortar bait player of all time. But man, Igor, when he does this, it's so nutty. Electro Spirit and Snowball, both bad news for the Russian. 3-3 split here with the balloon deck for Wallace. And it's interesting. This is rough for Igor because Snowball can pretty much just go to the spears whenever Wallace wants to, because he can save the Electro Spirit for those bats. Igor might try to predict the Electro Spirit with a well-timed log. Decides to snowball the bats here. Igor sets up Miner behind to pick up this Inferno Dragon, so Snowball not here for the spears. Hunter a good option here, and as soon as that, look at that, the second the Hunter comes out, Wallace goes balloon opposite lane. This balloon gonna make a run at that tower. Fireball has to come out. Tries to predict the defensive play there, does Wallace. Snowball a half step too early. Igor doing a good job delaying with that Hunter. So Fireball, Hunter, Mortar, Bats, and Spears. This certainly feels like Igor in a good spot now. And now Igor gets aggressive with the mortar. Knight will do a good job going to the right-hand side, though. I don't think, I'm surprised he worried about those bats on the left-hand side. I thought he would let the Inferno Dragon go down, but it does force out the Hunter in response, which opens up an opportunity for Balloon. Igor sets up mortar to one side, hoping to defend Balloon on that side with the building, and then have other options in the opposite lane. But those bats get ruined by the Electro Spirit. Snowball makes a bit of room for this balloon, but I don't think it's going to be enough room at all. Not quite there. Man, this is a fascinating matchup, and who would have thought a year ago that Wallace versus Igor would be such a level of brilliance, right? Of course you think that Igor was great, but no, like, people knew Wallace was good. They didn't know he was this good. Maybe some people will say, I knew he was this good. Snowball in, Electro Spirit in a bit early, so no bats there. This is going to be death damage, but no connection. No! A connection gets in! A 1 HP connection gets in on the raised up balloon. And just like that, Wallace takes the lead by a huge margin with 35 seconds left. Igor now has to fight his head off to try to get back in this one. But a nice pickup there with the Lumberjack on the Miner. And oh my word, with 25 seconds left, it looks like Wallace is about to send Igor packing. Final 20. Balloon does go down. Snowball takes care of the bats, Fireball in, but that Fish Boy, Fireball goes to the Fish Boy predicting the pull. It does not matter. Balloon opposite direction. There's nothing Igor can do here. That's a GG. Unbelievable. Again, who would have thought that Wallace and Igor would be such an amazing matchup a year ago? But now Wallace has really brought his game up. Wow. Absolute wow. Wallace eliminates Igor and moves along. What a play by Wallace, and now we have our top 6 decided. What an amazing one. And I believe, let me look at how the bracket works here. Let me just look at the bracket for a second.